I think there's always a little bit of a delay, but Anthony, can you tell me when people can see us?
Anthony, what's up? Good to see you.
Hey.
No, you're like
I'm doing the technical.
He's my tech person, but you know, we're both kind of like it's like, well, not the blind leading the blind. You're a little bit better than me, but we both are like anyway. Okay, I think there we go.
My Chrome has to.
Oh, your Chrome. Okay. Anyway, all right, y'all. Today's the day. We have Dr. Cecilia Regina. I'm so happy that we got this to work finally. Sorry we're late, everybody. Tech problems. How are you? How are you, Cecilia?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. It's funny because I keep forgetting that you've actually met Anthony. You're like one of the only my internet friends that I've met in real life, or who's met Anthony. So I'm like, I feel like a special affinity for people I have had a real life interaction with. But yeah, it's good to hear your voice again, other than just on TikTok.
Yeah, and the same.
Yeah, I know. When we hung out, we chatted for like 5. I feel like it was like 5 hours or something. Like
the sun went down.
Yeah. And then I forgot to give you the chocolate I brought. Anyway, okay. So we got people are here. So there's a lot of what we can chat about, because there's always endless stuff to chat about. I could talk about all the things that I think about that I have learned from you. What? Hold on a second. There's something weird.
What's the microphone?
Is my microphone now working?
It's working, but it's not.
You can't hear me? Can y'all hear me okay?
You can hear you, but when you go like loud.
Oh, it's probably the plug. Maybe it'll be better now. I'm so sorry. This is like endless tech problems. Okay, so I don't even know where to start, because part of me wants to talk about flowers in the attic, because I still think about that conversation. I've never met anybody who knows so much about flowers in the attic. I learned so much about flowers in the attic from you, but I think you've read, like, you read so much. So that's why I was like, I'm a little intimidated talking about books with you, because I only read like 1/100th of how many books you've read.
No. This is what I do for a living. This is what my degree is in. I see people complain about my echo. Guys, just let it go. Like, we had to do so much to get here.
Yeah.
She has an echo.
Oh.
There's an echo for her.
But how bad is it?
It's like a rah, rah. It's very short.
Is it like listenable?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
No, okay. Okay, hold on a second, y'all. Yeah. This is the tech problem I was telling you about. We keep having a sound issue.
Yeah. When I turn the headphones off, it gets much worse.
Okay, I can hear you really well right now, but let's wait until Anthony. Can you listen now and see if you can hear? Okay. Can you say something now for the test?
Okay.
When you speak, it's okay. Can she speak?
Yeah. Okay. So can you tell us can you talk about flowers in the attic for a minute until we make sure the sound is
Okay. So for those who don't know, V.C. Andrews is kind of like Carolyn Keene for Nancy Drew. It's a pen name. There was a V.C. Andrews attached to the series, but I think they only worked on the first book, Flowers in the Attic.
Okay, cool.
Am I speaking out, Trina? Separate book, different series.
She's talking almost.
A standalone, actually. But the family hired someone to fill in the rest of the series, and that's why they're all exactly the same.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry. I guess there's still like a pretty big echo that it's like hard to understand what you're saying almost. Oh, what should we do?
Because your sound on your side is good.
Okay.
It's on your own.
Is it? You're using headphones now, right?
I am.
Are you? Is there? Does it have microphone on the headphones or whatever?
No, they're just wireless headphones.
Do you have a different set of headphones possibly that might work better? I'm not really.
I'm actually out of town, so I don't have a mic or anything.
You don't hear an echo. It's just us.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't hear an echo at all. It's just them, so I can't figure out.
I don't hear one either.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, what are y'all talking about?
So somebody said like stream echo is usually caused by a feedback loop.
Feedback
The
loop.
microphone picks up audio.
Speaker or do.
Yeah.
So there's no app or any computer or anything else that that's listening.
No, I mean I just opened my laptop, but it's been closed the whole time.
Are you doing this on your phone or your laptop?
My phone. I couldn't do it on my laptop.
Yeah, no. The phone is this is where it's set up to do on the phone. YouTube has this weird thing; they make you choose. But your laptop is it closed on the laptop?
It's closed now.
Okay. Let's see if it works with the laptop closed, and then we could just read the comments because I like to have my laptop open too, but we can just read the comments like on our phone, I guess. Okay.
No. RC says leave and come back. I already left and come back a million times.
Yeah. So keep going because now that the computer's closed, it might change. Babe, can you see if you hear a difference now? Can you say talk about the flowers in the attic thing again? I'm so sorry. We'll get through this.
No, you're good. So, for those who've read Flowers in the Attic or DC Andrews in general, you'll know that there are other series. You know, they've got Dawn, Melody, those girls, I forget their names, but they're like Star Girls or something. But every series of books is exactly the same. It starts with a girl who's in a family that either turns out to not be her family, or they're a family of criminals, or something else wild. And then the boy who thought was the brother, she ends up in some love affair with him after being removed from the original family and placed into the actual family she never knew. And yeah, that's what it all stems from. This is like unfinished story of Flowers in the Attic.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to try something else because apparently the echo is still there. I'm going to try to use these headphones. So I need to unmatch them from your thing.
It's okay. My Bluetooth is off. You just need to plug on.
Okay, let me try this. Just in case. What's it called? Ella. Which one is it?
It's supposed to be this one.
That one?
450.
Let me turn it off and turn it back on.
Let's say Bluetooth settings.
Oh, what happened? Nope, I think. Oh no. Oh, I'm frozen.
So yeah, you're frozen. Sorry, I was turning on the. Someone needs to turn off YouTube in the background. Yeah, we did. There's no YouTube running anywhere. Okay, can you hear me?
No.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Yes, I can hear you.
It's not the right one. Just try.
What is it called? Sorry, I'm
just looking to see if I have any YouTube anywhere.
Yeah.
Just go back to the list.
Back to the list. Bluetooth.
Yes.
Oh.
The thing. Okay, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, let's see if somehow my headphones are going to help.
Yeah, I'm not hearing an echo anymore. I was hearing like a little echo before of myself, but now I'm not hearing anything. Okay, I think we solved the problem.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, there's Therese. Therese is here. Hi, Therese. Okay.
Hey, Therese, what's up? I
Oh my
always
god.
feared I was saying that wrong. Like deep in my heart, I was like, what if it's not Trace?
Yeah, I know. Especially when you like I'm always afraid that it's because people don't always say like, what? Okay. Are we good? I'll check.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, okay. Let's get into it. So, um, we don't have to talk about flowers in the attic. It's just I think maybe we get no, we might nerd out too much if we go into that, and there's a lot of younger people are going to be like, "What are y'all talking about?" It's this book basically about brother and sister forking. Like it's such a messed up story. Yeah, we have a lot of other things to talk about, but what? So yeah, I'm going to let you because there's a few subjects we talked about how we wanted to chat about. But what do you want to talk about most today? Because there's so much going on in the world. One of the things I really appreciate about you, of many things, is how I learn a lot from you, but I also never lose hope because of the way you always will like try to, either give advice or you're always trying to empower women, or you're like even your the latest one, about Megan the Stallion, and we're like put all this into creativity. So anyway, there's so much I want to ask you about and talk to you about, but
No, no, ask away. I'm always open. Like I feel like when I have to come up with the topics, I don't know. I freeze
yeah. No,
in
that's
my
okay.
freeze era.
Well, let's just talk about the most recent video I saw of yours, because it's one of the things I
Okay.
appreciate the most about you, because you also do like coach, and because it's like I firmly believe that just talking about the problem is like really never gonna just talking about the problem isn't enough. So, you always like offer solutions, or at least like action and stuff. Not always, like I don't always do that either, but um let's talk about like women who get completely screwed over by men,
Mm.
especially men that don't even measure up to them. And I firmly believe in what you were saying in this video about, and how take that pain and throw it into art and creativity, because like like you can actually make money off of like directing that energy towards, instead of being, it's easy to fall into self-pity and rumination and what's wrong with me, and and just being re-traumatized by it. Not that you won't feel any of those things, they're not valid, but you can't stay in that place very long because it's
Right.
not healthy.
But not just pain though. What I was saying was when you're in the relationship and you're like high on love, like, oh my God, love is so
Hmm.
great. My man, my man, my man. Instead of doing that, take all of that love energy and that extra high you're getting from the love chemicals and put it into creativity. And that way you have a soft place to land when the relationship goes south.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think most people do, because they get so high on the love that in my experience, coaching our writers, especially, and then in my
Mm,
own experience, that one year I was with that homosexual, or it's not even a year, it's like 9 months. I didn't write a single thing, not a single
mm,
thing. I was so
mm.
distracted, and especially if they're like really not healthy partners, they are so exhausting that you just the first thing that goes is creativity. The first thing that goes is like I mean I used to dance to techno every morning when I woke up. It's like a way to be like, like sometimes dancing and stuff helps me release a story from my body. If that, I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but I stopped doing that. I stopped everything. I stopped climbing. I stopped doing everything that meant something to me because this man was so exhausting. Um, but I don't know. But I guess since I've been in a relationship with Anthony, my creativity has actually just gone. So I guess maybe I've been doing that. Actually, never put those two together.
Yeah, no, a healthy relationship will definitely make your creativity more, and like you say, you'll feel like you'll have a space to have that
Hmm.
outlet because you don't have to be like, watching over him or letting him drain you dry 24/7.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, men are like the wrong relationship will be like a full time job,
Mm,
and if you're like their emotional, labor, and I mean that's just the emotional part. If they want you to do all this other stuff, um, so can you tell us more about Terry McMillan's story, so that because you were referencing that in your
Oh, yeah, I'd
video?
love to. I would
Yeah.
love to. So we can actually start with her second book. So her first book, Mama, that's semi-autobiographical, and it's more in the classical style of literature. It's very, Western migration, uplift, all that sort of thing. So that's her actual life story of
Mhm.
growing up in, in the northern states, and then moving out to California to get her education and getting her MFA at Columbia and all that sort of thing. But what I'm fascinated with is her second book, which begins, I think, her evolution away from more traditional Black literature. So,
Mhm.
Disappearing Acts is the true story of how she met the father of her son. Um, don't be a loser, ladies. It's never gonna be good for you. So what happened was she was doing what she was supposed to do. In the book, the character Zora, who's the lead, wants to be a singer, but we all know Zora is Terry. Like every single book of hers is about her. If you read
Mhm.
her books often enough, you'll know. So Zora is Terry. Terry wants to be a writer. Zora wants to be a singer. So she says, I can't afford vocal lessons. I can relate. If I don't downsize my life. So she moves to Brooklyn when nobody was living in Brooklyn in the 80s. So she'll be able to afford voice lessons with a great trained teacher.
Mhm.
And in her moving, one of the men who was working on the brownstone was Franklin, the man who she would eventually become involved with. And she's like, "Oh my goodness, he's so tall and handsome. He's 6'4", he's black." And I was like, "Girl, please." And it turned out he was a loser who was separated from his wife. He had 2 children he already wasn't supporting, but because she was all
There's the
hung up
red
on,
flag.
there
Children
it
and
is.
not supporting, but yeah.
But she didn't know that. She didn't find any of the pertinent information out because she's just like looking at the guy who's hanging around the brownstone, like doing construction, like, "Oh my God, he's got a job and he's so tall and he's so handsome." And so she
Mhm.
gets involved. The guy moves in with her, and before she knows anything
Oh,
about anything, yeah, I know. Before she knows anything about anything, he's living with her. She doesn't even know he has children. And when she says to
oh,
him, "Yeah,
oh my
no, like
God.
3 weeks in,
Oh
I
my
think
God.
it's so 80s, but 3 weeks in, she's like, "Oh yeah, we got interrupted the other day. I wanted to ask you where you went to college." He's like, "Oh, I didn't go to college. I dropped out of high school." She doesn't know
Oh, okay.
anything about this man.
Yeah. I've done that. Didn't ask questions.
But she begins to fall into that trap of thinking she's special. Because, of course, the guy's gassing her head up like anything because he's so grateful to have a place to stay. He's like, "Oh my God, you're so much better than any other woman I've ever known. And you're this and you're that and you're the sun and the stars." And she falls for the bait, gets pregnant. The first time she had some sense and had an abortion, but the second time she gets pregnant, she allows herself to be emotionally manipulated. He's crying and whining about how he wants them to be a family and he's gonna work 3 jobs to take care of her. Baby, is he working 3 jobs to take care of the children who already exist? Because the whole time he's living in her apartment, he is not working anywhere in America. You have to understand. So he gets laid off after finishing her brownstone. Now, to be fair, the construction guy he works for is shady. He's one of those people who pays you under the table and everything like that. But again, men who work that way most often are criminals,
Yep.
just like Franklin.
I learned from you, I think. I mean,
Hmm.
other people have said it, but I think you're the first person that made me realize why I didn't understand why my ex didn't have a driver's license and
Hmm.
couldn't get a bank account. And it's because he wasn't paying child support and probably was wanted by the law for all the other crimes. But I was like, that's so weird. He's just a Peter Pan. So I thank you for pointing that out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was like key for me to understand all the shit I was going through. I did not know it was because they're usually running from the law or owe child
Hmm.
support when their work life is like under the table and
Hmm.
all that crap. Ugh.
Yeah, very will of the wisp. So yeah, she was believing everything that he told her about how it was hard for him to get on. It was hard for him to get on because he wasn't part of the union because he didn't have any real credentials,
Mhm.
and he was trying to be shifty
Yeah.
with in respect to his other children he already had with his wife that he was still not divorced from, by the way. People, he's separated, he's legally married to his wife, has 2 children he's not supporting.
Yeah.
But never the anyhow, she's eventually able to get out of his grasp, but not only like after a lot of suffering. But what's important to note is Terry transmutes this suffering into something great. This is her second big hit, the first one of her books to really get on before Waiting to Exhale, which of course was a massive
Mhm.
breakout blockbuster. But you're not Terry McMillan. Most of us who get into these toxic relationships, you're not going to have a $1 million story to come out of it. You're just going to suffer. And here's the important part: her the father of her child sued her. This is the very first, yeah, it's the first lawsuit of its kind. He sued for
Oh, really?
defamation. Yeah.
Oh
He
man.
sued for defamation because of how he was represented in the book, even though it is fictional. And most importantly, he was guilty. The truth is the defense to claims of defamation. He did all that stuff. He
Yeah.
actually beat her. He actually was all the things that were portrayed in the book. He lied about his marital status. He was guilty. So it didn't go anywhere. But he sued her for $4 million.
Oh my God. That's some audacity. Oh,
And the thing that's
God.
so great about Terry, I love her so well. If she ever hears this live, girl, you know I love you. But this is still true though. She never actually learns because Disappearing Acts is about the baby father, and then you have the next book, Waiting to Exhale, and then you have the one after that, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, all about the young Jamaican guy. And oh my God, Winston, she loves Winston so well, and Winston turned out to be on the DL. And she said,
Oh.
married her just for access and clout and everything like that, and then she did end up having to pay him a settlement when they got divorced. Yeah, no, super embarrassing. But what happened? She made millions off of both of those. Disappearing Acts became a movie, Waiting to Exhale became a movie, How Still Got Her Groove Back became a movie. So she's winning.
Mm-hmm. It's such a shame that like again and again and again. I mean, I know sometimes it takes us a few times to learn a lesson, but but at least she's making money off of it, like
There you go.
but most of us are not going to have a blockbuster movie based on our book from our pain. But I do like the lesson of that is to it's channeling that energy. But
Hmm.
the there's so like I was trying to think today. I was like, how many of it like uh, I've learned a lot from you, but like a lot of the red flags, and it's helped me like understand things in my life. Um, but I think you were the one who really made me understand how much men like kill their own kids. Like I had
Hmm.
never, you know what I mean? Like I knew like I talk about them doing it in the wilderness because they're reckless and whatever. But like it never occurred to me that it's like on purpose so much until following you, and then I was like, dang, and I started seeing it all differently. um so and now like we've seen things are the stories in the news. I'm sure the last few weeks have been like overwhelming. I mean, you and I've chatted about do you have anything you want to talk about in that? I don't like we don't have to. It's not the most uplifting topic, but I'm
It's
sure you have
not,
thoughts.
but I do have thoughts, and just in case people don't ever get to see like our videos or anything like that, I just want to say I want to hit a few key points. Number one is please be honest. Be honest with yourself and be honest with
Hmm.
the people around you, because it may not be politic to say, but I feel like a lot of these women couldn't get the help they needed in time because
Hmm.
they weren't being honest in time.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, Doctor, her name is now escaping me, but the one who was
Oh,
married to the former
Dr.
lieutenant.
Serena.
Yes, Dr. Serena.
Yeah.
Dr. Serena, he was first credibly accused of assault back in 2021.
Hmm.
It's great. It's wonderful to want to get a divorce, but like that was actually the time. A lot of times we think certain things are about us, especially as black women. We've been groomed and conditioned to stand by your man and all that sort of jazz.
Hmm.
If you don't listen to the conditioning of society, you'll be able to hear the message underneath. To
Hmm.
me, what I hear when I hear two women came out and accused him of SA, that was your time. That was the time because he would have been so busy combating that, so busy fighting the governor's office, he wouldn't have had time to try to get to you.
Hmm.
The window is always being open. Like your ancestors, those around you, and they're trying to make a path. They're trying to help you. So like you have to move when you hear the signal.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know if you saw the interview with one of her friends who said that because I just assumed maybe she was, because she had cameras installed and stuff like this. Like I looked a lot into that case because it really honestly infuriated me. Uh, the more details I read about it, but one of her close friends said that she didn't seem to understand how dangerous he was, that she was just so over it. She was so annoyed with him. He was drinking every day. He was in debt. he was just like, he was it was like having like a self-destructive hoarder, like I think she just hated him. But it sounds like she wasn't truly like afraid the way some women who are trying to leave are genuinely afraid to leave. It sounded like she was just so over it. And that's one of the things that I've also learned a lot from you is like to like really give not there's been no benefits of the doubt in terms of the escalation of what it can turn into. Um, but I don't know. Have you read anything else on it, or because I've done a few videos on it, and I even have more info, but I'm like, this, then another case happens, like another story happens. It's in the news. I don't know. It's like it's
so
hard to cover
true.
these stories because they're so frequent, and they're also like so infuriating and triggering and stuff like that. But I also know that they probably won't get the attention that they deserve, especially when it's a Black woman. And then some of my mutuals have said they can't talk about it because it's too upsetting. Um, but it's like, I don't know. This particular case, it was financial abuse, plus all these allegations, and he even used Emmett Till, like, I mean,
They
everything about
always use
this.
Emmett Till. They
Mhm,
always, I've been saying this for years. Black men love to invoke the Emmett Till defense, and it makes me so angry. Because in addition to
mhm,
being a child, Emmett Till was something none of them are, which is innocent. He didn't do anything.
yep,
Carolyn was lying on him. But yeah, these men are guilty as sin.
mhm,
And after they have done everything they wanted to do with a non-black woman, they also want to bring up Emmett Till.
mhm. Yeah, and
It goes back
so
to
he brought him up, even though the two accusers were Black women. So I'm like, what? You can't even use that in like for all the reasons
they
you
don't
said.
care.
But
They'll say anything. They
mm,
literally do not care.
um, but the what you're saying about listen, like being honest with yourself. I mean, I talk a lot about men, and we both talk a lot about men. But one of the things that sometimes I don't think I talk enough about, I do talk about it, but maybe not enough, is that self honesty. Because my delusion is literally what almost got me killed. I mean, he was
Mm.
dangerous, blah 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 blah. But the way that I justified things he was doing, the way that's the first time in my life I actually ever lied to my best friend, was when I was with that dude.
Mm.
And I should have seen that as a
Mhm.
red flag, you know? And so one of the things I learned from that was that anything that I want to keep from her, because she knows me so well, anything I'm afraid to tell her is exactly what I have to tell her.
Yeah.
It's like a litmus test, because whatever I don't want to tell her is what I don't want to admit to myself, because I know that she's going to mirror back at me the truth. She won't just accept it. Now, some friends, you have to go to the right counsel, right? Like you can't just,
That's true.
you ask the wrong women, they'll be like, well, some women will be like, make a million excuses when it's actually not okay. So you got to be very careful. Who is that person that you're honest with? Like that person who will not, who is not judgment, like super judgmental or mean, but they just will, they hold you accountable. They're not afraid to say the thing that you don't want to hear, but they always do it with care, you know?
Mhm. Well,
Um,
that's what brings me to my second point, which is that
mhm,
Black women, you have to start looking now around yourself and know like where your community is and who can be trusted, because I feel like what happened in death is a microcosm of what was going to happen in life. Serena didn't want to be honest because she
mhm,
knew nobody around her was going to take her side. You surrounded
yeah,
herself with people who like their god is the good Black man, and they're not going to stick up for you. They're not going to say, he needs to come to the table and he needs to do right by you and his children. They're going to say, oh, you're so lucky. At least
mhm,
he's in the house. At least he's this and at least he's that. You have the booby prize that they all want, and they're going to say something's wrong with you for trying to get away from this nutcase.
yeah, yeah. And and also that reminds me of the what and I mean, this is kind of just like me theorizing about it, but I do think that women who are in the public eye are way more vulnerable, because of that. And
Mm.
like Nancy Mateo, like her family has taken off the last name of her husband, but the woman in
Good.
Florida, yeah, I was so glad they took his name off of her name. Um, but I didn't. It didn't occur to me till I started really thinking about it that like that her being in the public spotlight, like, and because this is kind of how it is for all women in marriages, like we're the PR person for our partners, right? Because we
Mhm.
look bad, and so a lot of women will lie and just kind of keep that to themselves. But if you're in the public eye, like you could more easily be discredited. Like, if she's this amazing politician, and then but like people may have like not really taken her seriously if they knew that she was dating an abuser. You know what I mean? Like a story
Mhm.
like that could like ruin her reputation. So on some way,
It's true.
she may have just been kind of cornered. You know what I mean? Like she says
But
nothing,
this is
she's in danger.
why
She says something, her career's in danger.
it's true, but this is why we have to be wise to begin with. What I
Mm,
saw in Nancy Mateer's case was so many of the things I tell you all about all the time. So I cover it in the video I did about like all these black femicides, but so they were labeled in the Miami Herald as quote high school sweethearts, but they
mm.
only got married a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought about you. I was like, this is a shut up ring. Like I thought about you when I saw that detail.
Well, I think actually it was more of a hospice care wife thing, even though he wasn't that old.
Okay.
A lot of these men, you'll date them back in the day, and these were men who you went to high school with. They were in your orbit, they were in your community, but you leveled up. She's
Hmm.
somebody. She was the vice mayor of Coral Springs, and this guy was an X-ray technician. An X-ray technician, guys. He was no one.
Hmm.
And he had finally
Oh
been
yeah.
all around the world, whored himself out, and realized he couldn't do better. So then he comes in, oh, baby, I love you. We should be together. We should do this. We should do that. And she let this loser climb onto her back and enjoy all the benefits of being with her. But the more she became uplifted, the more angry he got. Literally, he goes to the relative and says, I can't take it anymore. And this is the
Yeah.
thing, I love my people, but they will try to gaslight the hell out of you. I'm not going to say who it was, but it is somebody who I'm related to. We were talking about what happened, and I was like, well, this is obviously, about anger and jealousy. This man was so, he couldn't take her meteoric rise, and so he tried to shut her down. And they were like, well, how do you know that? I was like, he literally said, I can't take it
I
anymore.
can't take it.
They're like, oh, you don't know that that's what that meant? They could have meant that he couldn't take her cheating. I was like, babe,
Oh.
he's gone to a relative and confessed that he did the crime and asked him to hide the weapon he did the crime with. If he had something to say that made some sense, he would have said it. But
Mm.
this is what's so common in our community. They will gaslight you to death. The man has taken his wife out with a shotgun while she was asleep. What is there to say? There's no defense for that.
And then slept in the same house with her body. Like,
Jesus.
there's so many details about it that I'm like but yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt that.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. But this is what kills me. Like I spend so much time, and I feel like other people who do this work, who are black women, spend so much time just trying to get a baseline of facts going because I love my people, but they will lie like a rug to defend these black men. Like
Mm.
when I said she was asleep, they were like, "Oh, how do you know she was asleep?" I said the man set up a shotgun and popped her 3 times. You can't do that if somebody's running away, now can you?
Mm.
Like this
Yep.
is this is common sense, guys. Let's use our common sense.
Mhm. Mhm. Like the knee jerk reaction to just any benefit of the doubt. Any, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And the people who are so clear eyed, who are so sharp when it comes to police brutality or whatever, racism, all of a sudden they can't see good and don't understand when it comes to black femicide. I'm like, you all need to
Mhm.
stop the nonsense.
Mhm.
This is why we have the situations that we have.
Was he like I don't I checked out his Instagram page and it's terrifying.
Mm,
He's like have you seen any of his
I
social
did
media
not.
posts?
Mm-mm.
And the reason why I bring this up is because I don't know if I think he was former military or something. He was obsessed with pew pews. There's all these videos of him, and he's one of the Mason, whatever it's called, that Mason
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Hmm.
And there's like video, his like bachelor party was them killing boars, like, and it's very
Jesus.
graphic. And I'm like, oh my, what kind of bachelor party is this? Is y'all go and you take out multiple ones, and in the video is all these carcasses. I was like, so I mean, like most of his feed is him at the pew pew range. with his
Mhm.
buddies. There's very little of her on his Instagram feed. Um, I warn women a lot about military men because a lot of times they
Mhm.
have a lot of untreated trauma or whatever. Like, I don't really know much about him, but his obsession with shooting I found concerning, and just killing animals, but like putting it on social media where he didn't even like blur it out. I don't know, but like yeah, as somebody who my dad was a vet, and had a bunch of pew pews in the house,
Mm.
like uh like I try to warn women about we warn women about all these red flags, and I got it. I totally remembered it wrong. I knew that they had been I'd heard they'd been high school sweethearts, but then they hadn't gotten married until a certain time. But I didn't know how long their relationship is. So sometimes it's that shut up ring, which you're known like, or that's like your term that you coined or popularized. And but then the other thing, which I didn't think about, which happens often, I'm sure you've probably done it. These dudes from high school who are losers reach out to women all the time and are like, "Hey," and and then women who are like if happen to be single or like really want kids or they're about to turn 40 and they're not married yet, they end up with these losers from high school because they'll pop back up when all their other options or when they've already burned their life down or like are running from child support and stuff like that. Um, do you have anything to add to that? Because I forgot that is what they do. They circle back, especially if you're like doing very well, you know?
The only thing I could add to that is I just saw, the Malcolm in the Middle reunions happening. Jane, I can't say her last name, but the mother from Malcolm in the Middle has just remarried her high school sweetheart. And I was like, "Ma'am, are
Oh,
you well? Are you okay?"
I did not see that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that one of those every once in a while one of those stories can work out, but to me, these dudes usually they've already like screwed their family over. They're not playing, whatever, and they pop in out of nowhere, and also like as somebody who was I don't and I don't know I don't think this is just French men, but I kid you not, guys that I matched with on Tinder in 2020 will still message me randomly like 3 years later, and they're like, "Hey." Like, do you just go through and just to every woman you've ever talked to? But women, because of the way we're conditioned, we want so badly to be picked or be special or whatever. It doesn't occur to us that they might be literally messaging every girl from high school. You know what I mean? Like we think that they're, oh my God, what a coincidence. I was just thinking about him or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so much. It's literally so much. So first is that, and I'd like to tell a story about that. So I went on, I kid you not, it was exactly 3 dates. Went on 3 dates with a guy. It was like 2014. And I was like, okay. And he just never called me again. And I was like, cool. It wasn't all that. Like,
He just
literally,
ghosted
it
you
wasn't,
after 3 dates?
yeah, it wasn't a match. And I was like, life goes on. I'm
Mm.
moving on with my life. Literally, it was like 3 or 4 years later. I knew because I had just started teaching. Um, I wake up, it's 6 a.m., and he's just hit my text with the phone. Hey, did you ever end up moving to blank state? No greeting, no. This is, they literally have no object permanence. Men think that you're always there to be used by them.
Object
I was like,
permanence.
are you well?
Oh, I've never heard it put that way. That's so true though. And like and again, like the way that and this a lot of times when women and sometimes women get so mad at me when I say this. I'm like, look, I'm literally speaking from experience. I've already lived through this period of time and I saw what happened to so many women between like 33 and 40. Um
Hmm.
they start making really bad decisions if they're really want kids, right? Because that
Hmm.
clock thing will drive a lot of delusion. Or some women just I've literally heard women say like they just really want to be married by 40. Like, I don't know
Hmm.
what it is about that. I mean, I know, but like, and end up with the biggest fucking losers. And it's because it's like they don't want to start over again with someone new. They, and so they'll create like this, it's fate. Like, oh my God, what a coincidence, and it's crazy. Like, oh my God, I just saw a photo of him on Facebook 2 weeks ago, and now he's messaging me. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, I was literally thinking about this yesterday. I was like, a lot of times it's not so much the guy. Like
Yeah.
women, they create the fulcrum. They create the space to sort of suck these losers into their life. Like you could have been okay. Everything was going to be fine. But you make all of this room and then you just sort of open your door and you invite the neighborhood riffraff in. Like, come on. Plenty of space for you here. Like, if I were a man, I just don't even know. I just don't even know. Because there are women who basically volunteer that they're willing to house and clothe and feed men for a little validation and a ring. Like,
that's
I
why
know we have integrity, but most men don't. So like, I'm not shocked this is happening.
Yeah. And the way I see it, like, and it's, how it is, like, you'll make a video about it, and even though there's all this nuance, and there's a 10-minute video about it, and they'll be like, listen to the first line and be like, that's bullshit. I met my husband when I was 36 and we're in love. I'm like, dude, okay, but I am telling you, between 35 and 40 is when a lot of women are just, so I'll just speak for myself. Like, I mean, I had not dated at all. I literally was celibate for like 12 years of, like, when I was supposed to be out doing wild, but I was just doing my, like, I do what I want, adventure, da da da. And every time I tried to hook up with dudes, I was terrified of the woman who showed up. I was like, whoa, who is this person? I was like, all my energy was like, I'm going to learn, just about like challenging myself and skill sets and whatever. And then one dude I hook up with, and now I'm obsessed with him, and it scared me because I was like, I've always known that there was something there that would make me a bad version of myself if I explored that dating stuff and I'd dip my toe in the water and then a shark would bite my leg off, and I was like, never mind, and I go back to 5 years of celibacy, right? But towards, I think, your 30s is when you really start. Especially for me, 36, 37, and 38 were the rough years because I saw 40 coming, and I was like, I wanted community. I didn't want kids. I still knew I didn't want that, but I wanted community, maybe a partner, but I was like, I never even dated anybody. And so I became impatient, and what was supposed to literally just be a hookup, this guy was not. Like, everything about him, he was just like a walking red flag. He was dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even respect this guy, but it was exciting, and I thought it was just a hookup. I'm not going to be in New Mexico forever, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words, right? And I completely underestimated former trauma I hadn't quite worked through. I completely underestimated my nervous system, and I absolutely underestimated this man. And I think a lot of men prey on women who are in their 30s, especially their mid to late 30s, because they're usually financially. This is the hobosexuals. They're just
100%.
like,
100%.
financial stability. I can baby trap her really easily because it's almost time. Like, she's looking to have a kid, maybe. And so I try to say that that's the age when women are the most vulnerable, and women get mad at me because, just like I thought, I was cocky. I was like, dude, I can hang off of a 13 pitch climb and not have fear. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I was humbled real fast, right? And age doesn't necessarily make you any wiser if you're not learning the lesson.
That's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of women have not worked out their trauma. And like, I'm not trying to say that I'm a guru and that I know everything, but one thing I try to do is examine my life like it's a book, like it belongs to somebody else. And that is what keeps me aware of what's happening, because this happened to me. At Big 37, guy came back trying to circle around, literally somebody who I knew in high school and whatever.
In high school. Classic. There you go.
Classic. Someone who has not lived up to the potential. and I have to presume that they know, what I do for a living and everything because we're like in the same uh, community. And yeah, he came with all the BS and oh, I just thought we were gonna. No, no, thank you, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you haven't worked that stuff out, if you haven't, I'll just say it like because sometimes I'm esoteric about things, but how are people gonna get the lesson if you're not for real? If I hadn't unpacked this desire to have a certain kind of life and a certain kind of family, I would have been easy pickings. This is somebody
Mm-hmm.
who was in Jack and Jill. This is someone who went to Morehouse. This is someone who, I was like, oh yeah, back in the day, this is like Black Love fairy tale level stuff. And we came from the same kind of family and the same community. And he was very, very, very handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is the kind of person who I should be with. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. No, no.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I hadn't unpacked my stuff all those years ago and realized, first of all, none of that is something that you want to seek out. And that even if it was, this person is the last individual capable of actually doing any of that, I would have been easy pickings. It's
Mm-hmm.
very humbling when you look at yourself outside yourself and you realize how men are tailoring their lines to you. What a man says to you is how he views you.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, he's basing this on whatever 2007 when we were in high school, when I really would have been susceptible to this kind of foolishness. Embarrassing L
Yeah.
for younger me, but
Yeah.
I won overall, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, honestly, I think getting my ass handed to me. I'm the kind of person that has to learn the lessons. I'm an experiential learner.
Mm,
I think we all are experiential learners, but I think what you and I and our mutuals are trying to do is at least give arm women with education about what these men's motives are, what to look for, what to look the red flag. For me, it's the red flags within myself. I can tell people about red flags in men all day, but the red
mm,
flags in myself are equally as important because it's I will talk. The old Melanie would talk herself into dating anybody if I was
mm.
not feeling good. Like if I, and that's the thing. When I moved back to Taos, all my friends were married. They're deep into child care stuff. I was lonely. My friend just died. My book didn't sell, and that was literally the thing I think that sent me there because I thought I was going to write my book. My agent didn't sell it. I'd spent a year and a half working on this proposal. I put in like 10 grand in trying to get editing and all this stuff. So I'm in debt to this thing that
It's
didn't
real.
happen. And then I was like, I remember just thinking, well, what else am I going to do here? Like I'm eventually going to move to LA, but I don't even have money to do that. How am I even going to get out of here? And I'm like, I was bored. I was bored,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
Can we talk more about that? Because
Yes.
I feel like that's something I see from women all the time.
Hmm.
All the time. Delayed is not denied. Because something didn't work out the first time doesn't mean it's not going to work out in a different format later on, as we're
Yeah.
seeing with your social media success. But when
Yep.
we fail at the thing that we wanted to do the most, I feel like so many women turn to men
Yep.
as the drug of choice, and it's socially acceptable. Honestly, a lot of people in your life, they want to see you fail. They want to see you fail so you can settle like they did.
Hmm.
And so they say, oh, it's healthy. You're growing up. You're prioritizing family. You're doing the right, responsible thing. So you have this echo chamber of people telling you that this is the way it should be at a certain age. And even though, like, your voice inside is telling you, this is bad, this is wrong, don't go this route, you're like, shut up. And you're trying to
Hmm.
anesthetize it with sex and with the guy.
Yep. The thing about the boredom piece is that a lot of times it's boredom, but it's also avoidance. I talk so much shit about men and their avoidance and how it goes. The escapism is really one of the biggest problems. But I've come to realize upon looking at my own story and then just doing this work with y'all is that we're escape artists too. We just don't go like men tend to go into like you know chemicals or betting or
Hmm.
affairs and whatever, and we tend to our escapism is often into drama with men.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
you know? And that's how we get, and I literally was addicted to this man. Like I had withdrawals. Like I hated his guts and he almost, killed me, but I missed him a lot when I didn't have that I didn't have him blowing up my phone all day and sitting in that grief, sitting, and even before I met him, sitting in that uncertainty of like, what am I doing with my life? Don't start dating when you're in that place. When you're, when I first moved to LA, after that, I just gotten out of this terrible relationship and I also was new to a new city. Even though I had a lot of friends there because they'd all my comedy and uh, friends from New York were in LA now. But don't date when you lose your job. Don't date when someone dies. And don't date when you move to a new place or that guy or whoever moves to a new place because you're gonna like that's when or some sort of big heartbreak or some big disappointment
Yes.
because a lot of times women
Yes.
end up with terrible dudes because to avoid grief, even grief
Hmm.
of like not having kids, right? If they're like, I guess I have to be okay with not having kids, and then out of nowhere, this guy, this loser from high school, is like, inbox, hey, and you're like, wait, maybe I can have kids, and next thing you know, you're baby trapped and attached and paying, child support and all this crap to this loser who's now like saw like dollar signs. You know what I mean?
It's so true. Kelly Castro says, my mom told me she got pregnant because she didn't have a TV. She was 16 and impoverished in Peru.
Oh my god. I saw. I wanted to say. I didn't want to say it before because I didn't want to interrupt you. But Erica wrote 36 to 40 is the closing hour at the bar.
It really is. I saw that one. I thought that was so good.
um, and so as someone who's already gotten, I'm on the other end of that period of time, and this period of time well. I and women get mad at me because they're like they literally think that the age me and having dated shitty guys before means they've learned their lesson. I'm like, no, you don't understand. There's something about 40, and even if you don't want kids, there's something about like that window closing, and there's just something about like the second half of your life, hopefully,
Yeah.
or that puts this existential crisis a lot of times if you're single and haven't had kids. And those are I swear those are the women who end up in the worst relationships, other than the ones who marry super young because they were like religious or groomed or something like that. um but
But
people get
no,
mad
I
at me when I
feel like
say this.
yeah, no, I've been talking about this for years. We get the most extreme outcomes when you are post 35. Like I said, you're either going to marry really, really well or really, really poorly. And you're right,
Hmm.
women don't want to hear that. I think it softens it for them the way I do it when I'm like, look, there's so many women who've married really, really well.
Yeah,
You can do
that's
that
true.
if
You
you
give them a little hope.
maintain. I give them a little hope because I want them to know it's about maintaining your standards. But
Hmm.
so many of the women who marry poorly, it's not a matter of losing money. You will lose your life.
Hmm. Yeah.
Nancy Mateo had not been married long. It hadn't been 6 years.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Like that's so I'm glad we're talking about this because honestly I feel like I don't think I talk about it enough. Like I'll do the rounds, but then and I think I should start adding that caveat because women just latch on to the like I married at 36 and I love it. And I was like, okay, like, but you're right. Like a lot of the healthier relationships, like some of my friends who are in the healthiest relationships that were late, like around after 35, but they also were exactly the same person with that man, and like they didn't start
Hmm.
changing, and they actually taught me a lot because I hadn't seen like a healthy relationship. That's another reason if you haven't, and I think this is one reason why like I get a lot of shit and why Vieva gets a lot of shit because a lot of women are like have literally said in my comments, but if you're married, you have to center the man, and I'm like, just because you haven't seen it or experienced it doesn't mean it's not possible. Do you know what I mean? Um,
It's very true.
because I literally like I didn't have a role model for that. And then a couple of my friends, I was like fascinated when I was like, look at the way he looks at her. Look at the way, look, he's doing all this stuff. And it was consistent over a long period of time.
Hmm.
And he's still like this. So I was like, oh. And it's like I didn't know what the standard should be because I'd never seen a standard. It was all theory. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but as a late bloomer and as somebody who was like celibate for so long and everything, it's classic Melanie. It was like, don't date, not dating at all, never dating, fuck dating, and then like boom, like I'm a literal homosexual who brushes his teeth with some of the I don't even some of the details of that story are just so embarrassing. I'm like, I am like, luckily I've forgiven that version of Melanie, but like, I don't if you've never been with someone who is almost killed you and is literally the like, you will meet the worst version of yourself with the
Mhm.
wrong man. The worst version. You can't even imagine how little respect you will have for yourself if you end up deluding yourself into dating one of these guys because you're just like, yeah, but well, he's a la, 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 but you know
Mhm.
and that self-delusion, it's deadly. It's
It
deadly.
really is. It really is. And that's the reason a lot of women don't want to be honest about what's happening between 35 and 40. You
Mhm.
know, they see themselves in these women, the details of their story, taking up with some loser guy and marrying him. I mean, there's a reason why Dirty John was so popular. Everybody was watching that and they were like, yeah, I did used to. Like, that man tried to kill her daughter and she's still like, yeah, I miss him. He was so handsome. Like, it's embarrassing to women. And I feel like that's why the content that you and I do that maybe focuses on one story, that'll go super platinum. All the
Mhm.
girlies love to see that. When they see the girl getting embarrassed at the altar or whatever, they think to themselves, oh, that could never be me. But when I
Yeah.
talk about warning signs and red flags, they don't want to hear it then because they
Mhm.
recognize themselves and they don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, like, I think that what's important about is, like, some people really are just have to learn through experience, but my hope and pro probably most of our hopes is that at least they will not have as deadly of consequences. They'll see it sooner. They'll get out faster.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, if I had known what I know about, like, abusers when I was with him, like, so a lot of this stuff didn't sit right with me. I was like, "What?" But I didn't really think it was deadly, those kinds of red flags. Whereas, I've literally just have reevaluated so many details of that story and been like, "Holy shit!" There were so many more like that. Something made me feel a certain way about it. Like, huh? Why is he always like talking like a victim? Like, why is he? He's lying about this. Why is he easily? Da, 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 da. But after
mhm.
seeing, other people with the like, I caught him peeing on me in the shower. And I didn't realize that's what abusers do. They love to pee on you. Like literally, like, fucking hate this bitch. I'm gonna pee on her. I'm gonna mark her in the shower. And apparently that's common. But I was just like, that's weird. I can't imagine ever wanting to piss on somebody. And it's not a kink
Yeah.
either, you know?
Right.
And so that's why I think it's just important to keep like analyzing these, like my own story and sharing, all of these things and because it's like uh, it's really it gets there's a certain kind of grief that comes with like realizing that so many of these men are just fucking hate us, and I really didn't realize it till I started doing this work. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like on TikTok, like I kind of,
Yeah.
but because I've learned so much from y'all, um, there's a
It
kind of
really is the
grief that comes
speed
with
run of
that.
awareness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the but can we talk about the optimism part though? Like like I know you do a lot of coaching and stuff like that. And like what when you coach or like what do you do to try to help besides we warn them about what to look for, but like how do you help women build themselves up so they're not so easily vulnerable to their own delusion or men's lies and bullshit?
Well, the great thing is, I consider myself a midwife of sorts
Oh,
because 90% of what I'm doing is coaxing the revelation out. It's already in
mhm,
you. You already know the thing.
yeah.
It's buried beneath all these layers. So I'm just excavating. I'm just pushing the debris out of the way so you can let forth what you already knew to be true.
Yeah.
Like
That's
there
a
are so
great way
many
to put it.
women, yeah, I'm sitting in silence, or I'm like sort of redirecting them because they'll say, I'm trying to think of something generic because I don't want to don't want to put anything about anybody's business out there, but
Yeah, yeah.
oh, they love this. I don't know why I did blah blah blah, and I'll just repeat it back. You don't know why you did X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, see, because I had to do that because this person did that. I said, you had to do that because they did that. Well, see, yeah, if I didn't do that, they were going to do this. Hmm,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So it sounds like only a few people are very, very recalcitrant, in which case I just have to stop what they're saying. I'm just like, no, that's not what
Mhm.
happened at all. We have to
Yeah.
stop being in this denial, this delusion that we're in. But
Yeah.
in reality, you did this because this person is abusive, and this is your reaction to that. But I'm very proud to be able to sort of stand in this space because so many women say, I had a therapist or I have a therapist and I've got a family and a community, but all those people are pushing them into madness. They're like,
Yeah.
this one woman the other day, I'm not going to give any details, but basically she was telling me that the therapist was trying to tell her to reestablish contact with a literal abuser. I was like, you just fire this person and report them immediately. That's
Yeah.
not like back in the day, this person, I'm like a literal current abuser. I was like, fire them and report them.
Mhm.
This is not a safe person at all.
Oh my God.
But it's so much more common than you think. Like therapists, and this is no shade, no tea, but therapists are just people. And people have been raised in the same systems that we are. So therapists are prone to, you know, repeating the logic of patriarchy. They're prone to misogynoir. They're prone to racism. They're prone to homophobia. They're prone to all the things. So you cannot think to yourself, oh, this person is guiding me to a higher plane. Like,
Yeah.
if they've got the same biases, unconscious or not, they're going to be telling you to stay in those same patterns. And a lot of times it's going to be damaging.
Yeah, well, also, like, I have more than one friend who is a therapist, and and it's been really revealing because they were like, "You wouldn't believe how many of the people in my program are fucking nuts." Like, like, and I actually, in my experience, I have, um, most of the codependent, like, and I don't know, for lack of a better word, but like seriously, like codependent and enabling kind of folk tend to end up
Mm,
in nursing, teaching, and therapy. Because this is the ones women get, if like for people who want to help.
right.
You can be exploited forever and not compensated. Like you almost, like it, and so there's plenty of people in those professions that are not that way. But someone like me, I mean, that's what I was in. Yeah, I went into like trying to help people, and then I was like, what the hell am I doing? I was too fucked up to help anybody. What am I doing? Um, but a lot of people will give you like they're still people. They're still like humans at the end of the day. And I love how Miss Aisha has been talking about how you like therapy cannot treat abuse. And
Yes.
I don't hear, like, she's literally one of the first people or maybe the first person I've heard say that, because they keep trying to bring like financial, emotional, and all these other kind. Maybe if they're like physically harming you, maybe those therapists wouldn't do. But like, I'm sorry, but if someone is betraying you constantly, gaslighting, cheating, like financially abusing all this stuff, and exploiting your labor, and then let's just go to therapy and talk about it. What the hell? Like that is an entitlement and a male supremacy issue uh, that
Absolutely.
therapy can't treat. You know?
And I've been saying this since, I was first analyzing Everybody Loves Raymond back in 2023. I do not believe therapy is of any use for romantic relationships. Like you're an adult, they're an adult.
Hmm.
Either they're doing whatever they're doing intentionally or they have a mental illness that makes them incapable of not doing it, in which case therapy can't help either of those problems.
Hmm.
If they have that severe of an illness, they need to be in treatment and not in a relationship with you. You're not their experiment. And if they're doing it on purpose, what in God's name is therapy going to do?
Right. I mean, I could see it, like, I think, like, if therapy on your, like, for me, I continue to go to therapy because a lot of times, like, but it's for myself so that I show up in for myself and in
Hmm.
other relationships. But couples therapy, like, have you watched that show? Couples, is that what it's called?
No,
Couples therapy?
they are begging me to watch that show. I
I,
have a limit on what I can take.
yeah, exactly. People are like, you got to watch that show. And I'm like, I feel like that it's too on the nose for everything we talk. I don't think I could handle it. I think I would be so, like, it's almost, it's almost too perfect for what we do to talk about the show
Hmm.
because I don't see any of these couples none of them seem to be should stay together in my opinion with
Hmm.
little clips I've seen. You know what I mean? Um, but one of the things that we have talked about is these dating shows, though. Now, I
Yes.
have never watched Love Island, so I can't add anything to that conversation. Although I watch every video about it, so I feel like I know a whole lot about Love Island, having never watched an episode. But
Oh,
you and I both talk a lot about Love Is Blind, though,
yeah.
and those shows, and those are just humiliation rituals, as that's one of your terms as well. After we got rid of that villain, whatever he was trying to take.
Don't even
Sorry,
give power to that.
yeah, inside joke. No, I'm gonna make it.
Yes.
But but the dating shows, like, can you talk about that? Because it's like basically just like marriage propaganda at this point, right? Like, what is the point of some of these? Like, or I don't know. What do you think? What is your opinion on these dating
I
shows?
actually, I think the best thing for women is for these dating shows to go on. Not for the women who go on there, but that's between them and their God.
Hmm.
Because they're attempting to propagandize women, but it's the worst propaganda in the world.
Yeah,
Like, this is very bad propaganda
yeah,
when you
yes,
see these
right.
women, like the doctor from the last season of Love is Blind, when you see them queuing up to make themselves small and doing everything for the guy and it's still not enough, what happens? It radicalizes a whole generation. All these
Yeah,
women are like, well, now wait a damn minute. She
yeah,
did everything she could, and this man tried to humiliate her just because she was greater than him.
yeah,
And she
yeah,
was willing to try to come down to his level. And he still had to try to triangulate her with multiple other women because it wasn't just that airheaded blonde in the in the group. The first night they
Reese
broke
or
up,
what? I
he went
forget her
out
name
to the
is.
strip club. I forget her
Yeah.
name. But yeah,
Oh, Breezy,
yeah,
Breezy.
Breezy. Oh
Yeah,
God, that
that was her. She called herself that.
there's
That wasn't even like a nickname. She was like, "I'm
literally
Breezy."
there's a reason she and Chris Brown are sharing a name, but big loser energy.
Mm,
But yeah, he goes out to the strip club the first night. He's posing with the poor women who are at work. Like, this guy is just a loser, and all he can do to try to harvest energy from women is to play them off of each other. And I was so
mm,
proud for the women who didn't go for it, but it's a reminder that no matter how much women, some of them co opt the language of being a girl's girl, it's a
yeah,
performance. I could tell what Breezy was from the first beginning. She
yeah,
wanted her ration of male attention because
mm,
she got upset. Oh, I thought we were going to be having deep conversations with people who we were in the pods with. And she wanted guys to gather around her and tell her she was so beautiful and they wished that they had picked her instead of whoever they had picked.
yeah.
And
She
she
kept
was
wanting to talk to these
fascinated.
dudes from the pods, and I'm like,
Hmm.
to me, I mean, I don't usually take the man's side, but I was like, your fiance should be pissed at you. Why do you want to talk to these dudes? Like, what, you just
Yeah,
either
because she
you
wanted
like
attention.
drama, yeah.
Hmm. Oh, she's a drama llama. She's definitely a
Hmm.
drama llama. And that's why she was
Drama
standing right
llama.
there trying to elicit all the negative reaction from Chris. Oh, yeah, yeah. What do you think was wrong with her exactly? What was wrong with her body? Yeah, tell me exactly what was
Yeah,
wrong with this other woman and how
exactly.
I'm
Like, what?
better.
Like, why are you not shutting this conversation down? She just was like, you know.
And she couldn't get enough. She was grinning. She was
Yeah,
gleeful at the
yeah,
idea that she was better. A lot of women are still going to run to reify patriarchy. And like this is why we have to be honest. A lot of these women are no victims. Like we're all born to patriarchy, we can't help that. But a
yeah.
lot of women are very, very satisfied with where they are
Mm,
and they want that validation that they're going to get, especially if it comes at the expense of another woman.
Hmm. I'm
So
glad you brought
yeah.
up the word victim because that was part of this thing I had to look at that was hard to look at is that yeah, I was like, I'm either like it was these two extremes. Either I'm a bad bitch, no one and like, like almost like a toxically masculine woman,
Mm.
or over identifying as a victim. Doesn't mean that I wasn't, victimized by but like I have found this, white women, we really fall into this like the victim, 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 but it's like, all right, but what are you going to do? What's next? Right. And I think like a lot of times this is like rooted in, not only our social conditioning and stuff, but if you have any stuff from childhood, like any trauma or any like, any like, abuse, SA or whatever, um, it's like this over identification with being victimized by somebody, and I had to look at that
Mhm.
real hard, and it was very hard to look at, but it was so liberating because but to admit that that was there. And then, you see it on these dating shows a lot where a lot of the, women want like support from everybody because they are hurt from it by a man. And it's like to some extent, but at the end of the day, like I love the way Jessica handled that dude. She really wasn't over identifying as, she was just kind of like pissed and then moved on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Do you
Mhm.
have any thoughts on that? I don't know if I'm making sense, but
I'm no, I get what you're saying. I have to say I'm a little suspicious of the Jessica narrative because I feel like we want to feel like it's true, you know? We
hmm.
want to feel like there's a kind of woman who's basically evolved past getting hurt and that, a guy might give her a hard knock, but she's gonna jump up, she gets a licking and keeps on ticking, like Timex.
Hmm.
But that's not real life. And I'm suspicious of the fact that she's in another relationship
Well,
now
yeah.
with that other guy.
Yeah, that part. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
hold
I
on,
was
hold
like,
on.
this is not giving. It's
Yeah,
giving that you didn't want to be the one who was embarrassed. You know what? I see shades of that with Mackenzie Bezos. I said that's why she was so quick to remarry. You got
huh?
embarrassed in front of the whole world, and it's embarrassing. Like, babe, I would not wish that on anybody. Your
Yeah,
husband is sexting another woman. It gets put in the newspaper where your children can see, and it was the most embarrassing sexting in the world. Like,
yeah,
I love you, my alive girl. I would want to, it's off myself. That would be very embarrassing.
yeah.
But instead of sitting in the discomfort and saying that was really embarrassing, and I'm
Hmm.
just gonna have to just stay with
Yeah.
it and deal with it and own the fact that my husband went behind my back with a woman in our friendship circle. She rushed to get away from the discomfort and got married to one of her children's teacher and ultimately got divorced from him very quickly. She
Yes,
got married
I
and
didn't know
divorced
any of
before he
this.
was even remarried. Like, that's
Really? I
embarrassing.
didn't know
Oh
that. I don't
yeah.
really know much about her
I was like,
story.
girl, that was
Yeah.
that could have
I'm
been
glad you
avoided.
brought that up because I forgot that Jessica ended up with someone at the end because yeah, the reunion. I remember being like I wanted a story, and what's funny is because I've written a few book proposals that have not sold.
Hmm.
And one of them was like, I ended up single, all of them. I was single at the end. And there was like some pushback, when my agent was shopping them around. It was like, well, what's the point of this? And
Oh
I'm like,
God.
what? Like, can we? I'm not saying that there was. I'm so glad those books are not out there. That I really wasn't ready to write those stories. I would write them different. I'm so like rejection is protection. But I just remember being like, are we not okay with like a woman's happiness being like that? That she's single and like is here for herself at the end? Because to me that is a great ending. But even when I wrote a story for a screenplay in when I was in LA and taking screenwriting classes, which is where I channeled a lot of this grief from men. Instead of
Hmm.
dating, I took a screenwriting class and ended up placing in several competitions. Um,
Excellent.
and uh, and but the teacher was like, but he was awesome, but he was a man, and he was like, yeah, but the whole point of like life is love and connection. And I'm like, yeah, but and I didn't know how to have words for it then, but I just want to be like, but not for women. not for women, like for y'all. But a woman being alone is not a tragic ending. That is sometimes the best fucking ending. And it's funny, but like
It's
that, yeah,
true.
that Jessica's ending ruined her storyline for me. I forgot about the ending because I was like really proud of how she handled that. But you're right. Like if the follow up to this being hurt by a man is finding another one, I never trust that man, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't
Absolutely.
trust that she's actually grieved that and really sat in that humiliation, like sitting in my humiliation and anger at myself for that relationship that was so awful. I knew I had to sit in it. And but what did I do? Like, channeled it into writing classes. I took kickboxing. I channeled it into all like great things instead of trying to have a man rewrite that story. Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
prove that
Right.
there's a good man. Like I think we just want so badly to prove that there's good ones after you end up with someone like that. But if you
Mm-hmm.
don't sit in that grief, and it can be a long time, you know, then the men who do show up are often like really predatory, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I totally forgot about that. Damn it. But to me, any ending, every season that Love is Blind and there's like no couples at the end, or like I think there's like one now usually, or maybe two. But to me, like, and as Therese said earlier, like it's like marriage propaganda, and like you're saying, that's failing. It's actually doing the opposite. Is you like it gives close up how much these men lie, how amazing these women are in terms of like all of their degrees, and they're like nice and all this stuff, and you see women lying to themselves, and you kind of see all this play out, and it's like, why would you want that? You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh my
It's
god,
so
oops, wrong
true.
hand. Oh
I
my
don't
god.
I don't care how good it looks on the surface. And I just want to say, because I never had time to make a video about it, I am very vindicated. I told you that guy with the locks was a fucking weirdo. I told you all
Yeah.
that. And people were not listening, and they were like, "Oh, you're just..." No, I was just right, because there he is on Fox News.
Yep. He's MAGA. Of course he is. Like there was
I knew
something
he was a weirdo.
I didn't follow there's I sometimes I don't follow all the stories because I just don't have time. But I remember just being like, well, first of all, I also felt like a lot of times black women have a better perspective on a relationship that is like a white woman, a black man, whatever. And so sometimes I actually wanted to hear other people's perspectives first, but also like I was kind of bored. And then also anytime someone's super religious and talking about God that much, I'm like, ugh.
Hmm.
But I wasn't surprised that they ended up on Fox being like
Hmm.
MAGA. I mean, they didn't say MAGA, but they might as well have, right?
Hmm. Yeah, because why else would they be there? No, I knew, because I've known guys like that in real life. I actually, I'm not gonna call any names or relationships, but I know several men like that in real life.
Mhm. Oh yeah, yeah. Because I see. I wasn't raised super religious. The church was just a place. Honestly, I think my mom used. Okay, I don't want to like because maybe she's very spiritual or religious or whatever. But for single moms, the church can be a really great place for childcare. You know, like
Hmm.
like every Wednesday they had some dinner thing, and she got to hang out with all her girlfriends who were, also single. And then we go
Hmm.
play with our friends. And like I went on like church retreats. Like I was in choir, and it got us out of the house and whatever. But then I got kicked off choir tour, and my mom was like, "This is so embarrassing. All right, you don't have to go anymore." Because for like smoking and drinking. um, but I do think that so luckily I didn't have the religious part to deconstruct or kind of guiding any of my decisions, but you are very familiar with. I mean, you talk a lot about this, about the religious aspect and how the church pushes a lot of women into just super exploitive relationships because the church itself exploits them and their labor,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, the church is the most dangerous place for women today. And if you're not already away from the church, I implore you. I already warned you all last year. 2025 was the year of consequences, and this is the year of no plausible deniability. Like, the church is going to hurt you real bad if you stay in there. So please, please come out right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you've talked a lot. I've learned a lot about the church being a place that just exploits women, and then like the church men are like and actually, like, even the what was it? There was another horrific story, and it was just like this provider, this head of household mentality, to me is a huge red flag. But that's kind of almost embedded in, that comes with the church, because that whole, like, that umbrella thing, that's like
Mm-hmm.
God, whatever.
Yeah,
And to
God
me,
and the
if they,
man.
yeah, and then they're the head of household, but that means that they're the boss, and I don't want a boss,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I do not want a boss, and I'm
Mm,
not an auxiliary person, I'm not like a helpmeet, I'm not a rib, I'm not a part of a human. I'm a whole individual.
yep, yeah, exactly. Um, Hold on. There's a couple things I wanted to ask about, because we can't stay too long, but because I don't know how much time you have. But I
Oh,
wanted
I'm
to ask.
good.
Okay,
I'm,
okay,
I'm
okay.
okay.
I wanted to ask you about, because I haven't heard about her in a while, and you're the first person that brought. What are your thoughts on Adele? What's Adele's? Do you know? Can you update us about Adele? Because you're the one who's been warning about Adele's another situation. Super successful woman who keeps. I don't know. I don't know if there's an update on Adele, but it seems like
Oh,
super
well,
successful women end up, like, putting, they're like, men. Men will always, like, they love successful women because then they get money from them, but also a proximity to power and then influence, and they can build their whole brand off of them. But I remember you talking about it,
mhm.
because I don't know much about Adele. Can you tell me? Can you remind me about Adele's situation and update us, because I haven't heard about her in a
Okay.
while.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so Adele, she hit so many of the markers that we talk about all the time. So you recall when she came out, she was quite young,
Yeah.
and she married an older predatory man. And people will try to put their stuff on women who they feel represent them in the public eye. But it doesn't mean that those women feel the same way. So people try to make Adele into like this sort of icon for her size. So, oh yeah, she's like large and lovely and all that sort of thing. And she did not, I have to say, based on her behavior, feel that way. And that's, to me, why she got
Hmm.
with that older man. And I think you can see it in his behavior as well, because he cheated on her, and then in the divorce settlement took the vast majority of the money that she had made.
Oh man. So he got out with more money than her from her own
Oh, way
music.
more.
Oh my
Way,
god.
way more. He got like 90% of her money. It was very bad. I
How
don't
did
know
he?
who her
How
lawyer
did?
was.
Yeah. How did that
Honestly,
happen?
I think someone should start exploring alternative means of dissolving their marriages, but that's just me. That's just me. Don't do that, guys. That's just yeah. But anyways, so she didn't have any money, and the next iteration you saw of Adele, she did whatever she did, and she lost a lot of weight, and we see her chasing this new kind of imagery and her relationship with Rich Paul there. I'm just shaking my head because I just want to say, ladies, there's no cheat code. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no cheat code. And I see this with a lot of white women. I think a lot of white women think getting with a black man or a non white man is going to be the cheat code. That's what happened with what's her name? Lindy West.
Yep.
Please do
Oh my
not
gosh.
allow yourself to be deceived, okay? There is no cheat code.
Yep.
And these men are going to humble the fuck out of you if you think that you found a cheat code.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
they're going to show you something you've never seen before. And it's hard to say. It's really hard to say whether or not she's going to end up worse off than with the first husband. We'll see.
Hmm.
But Rich Paul is leading her dog's life. He won't claim, which is crazy. He wants to use her for her fame. He likes the proximity that he gets, and he's using it to promote himself. He only started going on his book tour once he was officially confirmed as her partner. And they're asking, okay, well, are you guys married? Oh, I don't want to talk about that relationship. I'm private. How are you private when you've leveraged that relationship to get
Yep.
on these morning shows and whatnot? Sir,
Yep.
silence.
Yeah, and
She
also
bought him a house.
she probably learned so much from her first divorce or whatever, like, that, to not, like, I could see how he would maybe he's afraid that if they got married, if he wanted to like marry her for her money, he may also know that she may not be fooled twice into losing all of her money in a divorce. So why not just like humiliate her by dragging her along? And because I never heard of him until
Right?
he
Me
dated her.
neither.
I literally never heard that name before. I mean, yeah, whatever. I don't know everybody who's like famous either. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I literally never seen or heard of him. And then I was like, oh, who's that? And then,
No, no, like I had never heard of him either, and I have a father who's super into sports, so he's a very famous sports agent. He's LeBron's agent or whatever, but I had never known who this man was a day in my life. Most people do not.
mhm,
And I think that's really the key. He's angry. Like so many men, he got with a woman who represents what he wants to be. But he's
yeah,
never going to be that. And the only thing that he has that the other men in his circle don't have is Adele. So he's not going to give her up. But he's angry and he's resentful. He wants to be the Adele in the relationship. He wants to be the more famous one. He wants to be the one who can have any person he wants. And he's very angry. Also because he's unattractive. That-
you know, can we talk about Lindy West? I also had a request for that, but I feel
Oh,
like
please. Yeah. No, I'd love to talk about Lindy West. Because guys, I just want to say before we get started in the actual conversation, you have to be careful who you listen to. Okay? And I can say this because I feel like my work, Mel's work, can stand the scrutiny. Um, please stop following people who only have consciousness of necessity, who are only conscious because they didn't get their rational privilege, like Lindy West, and
mhm,
they started up this whole identity that hinges on them being entitled to something that they didn't get.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you read her any of her books?
Oh God, no.
Okay,
I don't
so
go in for all that whining. I don't.
yeah, no, I haven't. So I think I didn't finish, but I read Shrill, part of it, and then I just ended up not finishing it. And I didn't know why. And then so honestly, like that whole situation really, it kind of blew my mind because not only was it about like all of the things that we warn about, it was like boom, 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 but then also as as somebody, I didn't realize how much the times had changed. So when I started storytelling and doing comedy and like back in the like 2010s and stuff, like and 2000 early 2000s up until maybe like 5 years ago, oversharing your life was like, and especially women, monetizing our most embarrassing stories, um
Mm.
and and her, this, what happened to her made me realize how much I'm, thank God that time is over.
Mhm.
And also like the, you know, this is one reason why I'm glad that none of my books got published. That I was trying to write about my life before I had the distance and the clarity and some of the healing to write about it. And I'm so glad those books aren't out there. So I went back and read a little bit of Shrill, just the parts with him in it to see that relationship through that lens. And I was like, oh my God, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I was like, wow. And then also she just like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of like the whatever. There's a lot of stuff that I don't like about her writing. I think she's really funny and all that stuff, but I mean, the guy was like kind of like not a great comedian, or like he had two kids, like all of the things that we warn about. And I'm like, yeah, to me this is very clear. And then also like lying about being in an open relationship, like all of it,
Mhm.
it's all there.
Mhm.
And then she was surprised that people were pissed, and so many, I mean, I didn't see it on TikTok as much, but on Threads, like one of my mutuals on Threads, like Lindy actually was making fun of her on her Instagram for criticizing the book. And it was like, oh man, dude, you got to stop reading comments. You got to stop reading the backlash. Just like take the L, go private, let it pass. The whole family was
No.
like doubling down, you know?
But the thing is, she's empowering her husband to act the fool too. Like,
Yeah.
did you see him? He
I
was actually calling women out of their names, and she was like, "Yeah, it's because you are." I'm like, "No, there is no circumstance where that's okay."
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Like, this
actually,
is who y'all have uplifted.
yeah, those emails that they sent, like we only saw his, but I'm
Mhm.
friends with someone who works on that show
Mhm.
that that he sent it into, and she didn't read it to me, but she told me like all of the emails are insane from all three of them, and it was like so, and I'm like, oh my god, so that's why I'm like, you know, just we're in a time now, and I think TikTok is what really changed it all because as you know, like we criticize celebrities and public figures and stuff like that because like that's what we've always been doing. But the the TikTok changed it so that we're commenting on people's lives all the time. They just, like on some woman's in her kitchen and then she's like, "You know what? I'm mad at my husband." And you talk about this a lot and I love that you talk about this and call women out for this. They'll just be like they just go online to complain, right? And it's
Mhm.
that and sometimes it's a necessary step for that waking up process, and I do
Mhm.
think that that's a great thing. A lot of times women don't realize they're in until like the comments are full of like, he's trash, like divorce him, right? And
Uh.
I'm mutuals with one woman who literally woke up on TikTok from sharing her story, and now she's divorced and doing great, right?
Mhm.
But then there's the other group of women, and this is what I love that you talk about, and I see this a lot in white women back home, especially where they like commiserate out of misery, commiserate out of just
Mhm.
complaining, but don't actually want it to change their
Mhm.
life. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like you're one of the only people who talks about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a form of gathering power. So, ah, so many things. So, I've been talking about how you see women on like the right, like conservative women, they're making the same kind of content that decentering men girlies make, only the difference is the end. He'll make the video about how the wives are doing all the work and the husbands are out golfing or hunting or whatever the hell it is they're doing. And they'll show themselves being frazzled and overwhelmed. And then it'll be like, well, at least I have a husband now. Like, he's just so great in other ways. Like, the point isn't the story, the point is the lesson you take from it. Because
Yeah,
no women are disagreeing about what men are doing. We all agree that there's a huge, huge labor disparity. We all
yeah,
agree that women are doing the majority of the work or are expected to do the majority of the work. We all agree that there is an imbalance. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because
yeah.
if you only talk and there's no change and there's no like actual boundary, you're just reinforcing the narrative that this is okay and it's normal.
Yeah. Then it just becomes like real life. Everyone loves Raymond.
Literally. And the thing is, when you're watching those shows, when you're watching King of Queens, when you're watching Everybody Loves Raymond, when you're watching whatever, those shows are made by men, so you'll side with them. Like, oh my God, look at his wife, that nag. She expects
Yeah,
him to care for his own children. She expects him to help around the house. Look at this idiot woman.
yeah, yep. Yeah, no, you're right. Because the difference is in the outcome. Absolutely. Because because we all know that somebody will like record a video and they're like, my boyfriend bought me a $1 gift and I spent 800 on his, and and then he smashed my plants and all this stuff, and everyone's like, sounds like he doesn't like you, and blah blah blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then there's always like the follow up of, no, you guys are, like there's the defense
Mhm.
videos after that, and to me, those actually, as somebody who is in a terrible, terrible relationship, I do actually believe that it does take time sometimes to like sit with, he fucking hates me. It does take time to sit with that
Mhm.
and admit it to yourself. So I'm never surprised to hear, like, to see the apology videos. So I usually just, not apology, but the like, he's not that bad. Y'all don't understand him. Or the just straight
Mhm.
up, like, almost like making fun of us videos afterwards. But what I like to look for is like, months down the road, is there any evolution? Like,
Mhm.
because that's when I'm like, oh, this was literally to monetize like women who have so much trauma from being exploited by men. They're literally like making
Mhm.
fun of us and monetizing our righteous rage about it. And they're
Mhm.
just like, whatever, bitches, this is gonna go viral. And those are women I have
Mhm.
no tolerance for. And that's just like a
Absolutely.
right wing influencer, right? Um,
Mhm.
And then there's other women that like, it's like, okay, I know he's going to defend him, but like, we know it takes women like 7 or more times to get out of an abusive relationship, but like, how long does it take for women who are just being exploited to get out? Like, I try to always remember, like, this isn't an overnight matter. Like, it takes a lot of sitting with yourself. But then there's other women who just, they literally, they, I know some women from back home, they're in, like, they were the worst dudes, but they have a nice house and they have their friends, like, hate their husbands too. So whatever, we're good. You know what I mean? And those are ones I'm like, oh my God, then you're just like, you called it a pressure release valve, I think, at one point.
Literally, that's all
Hmm.
that we are. So I always say that there are three types. So there are women who came online to just complain, to just
Yeah.
harvest the energy of all the women telling them, you're beautiful and you're
Yeah.
strong, you shouldn't take this treatment. And they're like, whew, I have let off some steam and now I'm
Yeah.
well rested and ready to go back to my abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And then there are women who came there to find out the secret sauce. They came to find out, oh my God, your man was a loser too, and you turned him into a decent human. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
Tell me how you did that. And there are
Yeah.
women who came to manipulate the man using your participation. All of us are lining up and saying he is the worst thing ever. He is the Antichrist. And she's like, see, all these people hate you. And if you want me to say that you're not a big jerk, you better do what I want you to do. Like, a lot of women have accepted this is the status quo. Men don't want to
Yeah.
be there and they don't want to participate, and you have to force them somehow. And I'm not into that at all.
Yeah, see, that's one thing I don't think I've heard anybody talk about. Is that third one you said, the
Hmm.
using it as leverage. Look at the internet. The internet. Do you want me to, like, as like, I don't need, maybe I should talk to TikTok about it, and they're like, like, as leverage or something like that. Um,
And here's something I actually want to talk about it and want to make a video about it. You have to let me know if like you're cool to talk about this, but I forget her name. The teacher who was just exposed as preying on those children. The woman.
oh wait, who are you talking about? The teacher, a woman teacher.
I want to say Katie something.
Oh, I have not heard that yet. Holy crap. When was this?
No, you've heard about it. It's only been
Haven't.
like a couple of weeks. But yeah, she
Okay.
was a white woman and she's Haley Beck. Thank you, Haley Beck. But
Okay,
she
I actually don't know this story, I don't think. I don't know how I missed that, but I haven't really been
oh,
watching a whole lot of content. Like, maybe I know their face. Okay, just keep talking because maybe it'll come to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
well, she's white and she was
Yeah.
up with some teenage boys. But what people were so fascinated by was the way that the conversation was going between them. And I feel like most people haven't really cottoned on to what it means because she's talking like a teenager. She was in her 20s.
Hmm.
She's like 25, but she's talking like, she's really what would that be? Gen Alpha or whatever the high school
Hmm.
students are. A lot of people, I saw a black woman do a very good takedown. She was like, "Oh, that's what happens when you keep making these adult women like babies. You keep on like sort of lowering their mental age, and you're like, oh, I'm just a girl. Like that's not really it, in my humble opinion. And actually, I was
Hmm.
gonna go to this old episode of Law and Order: Criminal Intent, which actually covers the same thing, and say it's been right in front of your face all along. This is what happens when women accept the reality of what men are, but they don't decenter men. What was happening was
Hmm.
this woman was trying to find leverage, and she found it, in her opinion, in preying on teenage boys.
Yeah.
She was using what they didn't have that she had access to. So, money, alcohol, a car, all those things to manipulate her outcomes.
Hmm.
She would say to this boy, you tell me I look good. You tell me I'm prettier than the girls in your grade. You tell me that I'm better in bed, or you don't get these things.
Hmm.
She has internalized this idea that, yeah, I can't control my outcomes with men my own age. So I'm going to go and practice my power on somebody else.
Wouldn't, so I know what you're talking about now. Now, because I didn't really know that her brother, but I saw people talking about this, but I didn't. But yeah, okay. So I do know who you're talking about. What I'm wondering is, wouldn't wouldn't this be the exact same things that the toxic boy moms are doing? In that same kind of
Hmm.
like, I mean, maybe not like Enchmas or whatever, but the way that a lot of women who hate their husbands are like, well, he's never going to get what I want. And then they become obsessed with their sons and they talk about their sons as if they want to date them. And they get to, and because they have power over them being their mom, like, would that, do you think that's maybe kind of along the same lines of like, yeah, my husband sucks, men suck, men can never meet my needs, but my precious baby boy will always see I'm the number one woman. And, and then she becomes, then like his future girlfriends and wives have will never be as important. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
making
the thing
herself
I think,
queen via the son.
right, the thing I think about the boy mom is it's a roundabout way of enthroning yourself
Yeah,
because you gave birth to him, so you're a queen. If
yeah,
he's a king, you're a queen. You're so great. You're so wonderful. You're the queen mother. You know.
yeah.
But with Haley Beck, what a lot of people are alluding to is the teenage boy was still being very disrespectful, which is his right. You know, he's being played by
Oh,
this
okay.
loser woman. But like, yeah, he's calling
Yeah.
her out of her name. He's saying, "No, you're old," which is crazy because she's 25. But like, she is old because he's a teenager.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you're not as good as this girl or whatever. And she's like trying to redress the balance in her mind by saying, well, if you don't tell me I'm better, if you don't tell me I'm pretty, if you don't tell me I'm this and that, you don't get these things. You don't get these
Huh.
material items. You don't get to access my power.
Well, see,
It
I
goes
did not know
back to,
any of this about this story. I didn't even know that he was okay. Thank you for explaining that because
mhm,
so basically she was like having a weird, not weird, inappropriate, illegal flirting, like grooming kind of relationship with her student, but he was also like a jerk to her, and then she
mhm.
leveraged like adult things, or did she leverage grades too over him?
I don't know about grades,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure she was giving out A's. And then what's fascinating to me is all the young women who've come forward, across the country from different schools and saying, yeah, this is very common. I know of teachers doing the same thing in my school. And like nobody's
Hmm.
holding them accountable.
Wow. Wow. Okay, I need to look into this. I was must have been off of the not watching content that week because I do know
It's
like, and
always
not in terms of
something.
what's that?
I said it's always something. We can't keep up
Yeah,
with everything.
yeah, that's true. But I do remember in the one of my, this isn't like, I mean, I don't know if she was like, I don't think she was doing that, but I remember one of my teachers in high school. She was such a pick me fucking teacher that all the guys thought she was so cool, and she
Hmm.
favored the guys in a way that was like that. I was like, what? It was so weird. And of course, then I didn't have language for it and didn't really understand, the way women play within the system to access power. Um, but she literally acted like a teenager. Like she wanted to be one of the boys, like
Hmm.
one of the guys. But she was also kind of like a coach of something. So she was like very like tomboyish or whatever. She wanted to
Hmm.
be in with those guys. So and I was like, I remember thinking back then because she seemed like she was like in her 40s or something, and I was like,
Jesus.
seems like like wanting this to be your
She
friend
seems
group
a little
seems
off.
weird.
Yeah.
Like but she favored them all the time. They got away with murder. They could do anything in that class. And I just remember being like, that was the first example of I saw a woman doing what the male teachers were doing, but just it just looked
Exactly.
different, you know?
And that's the thing. I have not wanted to just do a little bit. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video when I have more time. But
Hmm.
this needs to be unpacked because I feel like things like this are going to become a lot more common. People
Yeah.
thought that what's her name with Philly? The
With
one who
who?
died not too long ago. The Mary Kay Letourneau. People think Mary Kay Letourneau is a huge outlier.
Hmm.
And maybe to the extent of that age gap, she would be because he was in middle school. You don't really
Hmm.
see that very often. But I think this whole young teacher, like woman, and high school boy thing is way more common than people think. And it only comes out when there's somebody else who's in on it who gives up the secret, or when something like people consider repugnant happens. I remember there was a big case when I was younger about an older teacher, but she was, you know, like not hot straight. She was basically bribing the boys with alcohol and things like that, and the boys ended up turning on her and testifying against her. But she was, not conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
So I think that was a lot of the motivation. Not that she should have been doing any of that, but the point is, I feel like it's an open secret when people think
Mm.
it's more aligned. Like somebody just said, Bridget and Emmanuel, over there
Yeah,
in
I know. I
France.
was gonna.
Like,
I didn't know if you saw that. I was gonna say,
I
yeah,
did.
like this. I mean, m- my president is a classic kid, but she was like 40 when that
That
started.
blows my mind. Like literally, that was her daughter's classmate. I'm too American for this. I'm too American for this. Because one thing about it, there may be PDF files in high places over here, but by God, they do hide it. You know?
Yeah, like the fact that they had to, like, his parents had to pull him out of the school to get him away from her so they wouldn't date. And she had children, like, and she was
It's
40. I think she
crazy.
had 3 kids or whatever. And I'm like, when I found out that story, I'm like, now again, can't say much given our president, but I'm like, how did he
Lord
become
knows.
president with that story?
Well, I guess because he was the victim, and it's France. I guess they think of it differently. I remember a few years back when that big literary author published his memoirs, and he was talking about abusing literal kids, and we were like, "What the hell?" In the States, and everybody in France was like, "No, no, it's it's."
Wait, who is this? Which one? Who are you talking about?
I'll have to look it up. It was some guy, but he was a big time writer back in the 60s and 70s, and then they published his memoirs like literally just a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
And he was like, literally, the baby groupies would be old in comparison to the children he was talking about being with.
Hmm.
And we were all over here in the States like, what? And he was like, no, it's all good.
Yeah, well, what's crazy is I went to um a weekend away with my friends, and in this little town we went to this church, uh and the guy, it was my friend and her baby and my other friend, and the man who was like the pastor, or like the whatever you call it, the guy who's in charge of this Catholic church. It's a very small town, and he was, "Hey, can I help you?" And like took us into his back office and showed us how he'd been all over the world and all this stuff. Like, I was never being like, I didn't know we were going to be going into his like private chambers, and like it's like a little show
This
and
is
tell of
crazy.
all the places he'd been. And yeah, so we googled him, and he was not only tried, but he was convicted
Mm.
of PDF, had been to prison for 8 years for it, and was the priest here. I'm like, what? Okay, you guys let him go back to being this after he gets out of prison? Everybody knows.
Madness. Madness.
Anyway, but yeah, so I don't. It's like the same problems in both places. They handle it a little different,
Hmm.
Like um, the themes are the same. um, anyway, I need to probably wrap it up in like 15 or 20 minutes because I haven't eaten dinner and
Okay.
I'm starting to get hurried. But I wanted to and also, like, this gives us an excuse to go live again.
Oh, of
And I
course.
could talk to you forever, but I wanted people,
Oh,
like,
same.
so many people are like so excited to see us go live and are huge fans of yours. If anybody has any questions or anything, I mean, can't guarantee that they'll be answered, but if anybody wants maybe any topics that we haven't talked about, or and of course, Cecilia, if you have anything that you want to talk about that we haven't yet, I have
Oh
all
yeah,
these
no.
notes, and then I was like, I knew we wouldn't be able to talk about all the stuff that I'd thought of, but I also know that you and I can talk forever, and we just follow the what our intuitive guidance on that. But so hold on, let me see if anybody said anything right here. So do you have any like, in terms of like stuff that, so you're like, literature is like, you know so much about literature and stuff. And one of the things that you've talked a lot about is which I I feel silly that I haven't read some of the classics, but you talk a lot about Darcy or whatever, and like all of the
Yeah.
old, all the Pride and Prejudice and all that stuff.
Mm.
Do you want to talk about any of that right now, or is that for you?
Oh, no, I could talk about literature all day every day. I actually started like the work that I do now because I used to just be holding my friends hostage and talking about things I wanted to talk about, and they
Hmm.
weren't happy, but who's the joke on now?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I would start out talking about Sex in the City with my friends who watch Sex in the City, but then I would start expounding my theories, and they would cry and whine, and I'd be like, "Hush, I'm not done."
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, you just brought up Sex in the City because that is something you and I could talk about for forever. So I don't want to like derail
True.
you from talk. But do you actually want to talk a little bit about that before we go?
I
'Cause-
totally do. I totally do. Just real quick, let me get this in. Somebody said,
okay,
"Where can we get the book?" It's not out yet, guys, but with God's My Secret Judge, May. May.
May.
Go
Okay,
ahead. Yeah. It's
so
end of
oh
May. Don't
yeah,
be looking for it in the beginning. End of May.
yeah. So actually, but so while we're there, so obviously, so TikTok, you have a couple of account, or maybe even three now, I think. But you have Cecilia Regina 275.
Hmm.
Cecilia Regina 2, maybe? Or can you tell us all your
Yeah.
handles and everything that people can find you, and also Patreon too, right?
Yes, yes. Okay. So, I am on Patreon. I'm here on YouTube under Dr. Cecilia Regina, and then Cecilia at Cecilia Regina 275 on TikTok, and then Cecilia Regina point two on TikTok. I do have a point three, but I don't update it anymore, so no
Yeah,
need
it's
to
just
know
kind
that
of a
one.
backup thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And your Patreon, so is that it's the same, what is the
that's a
handle for that
good
one?
question. It's just Cecilia Regina. There's probably a
Okay,
dash in there or something, but same picture.
okay,
So just
okay. And then you have
I
a
am I actually am gonna put up a video on there, 30 minutes, guys. Actually, it's like 35 minutes on the mother load, and it's Frasier. It's Daphne and her mother from Frasier. So if you love Frasier and you love to hear me talk about like the mother load, you can go on over there to Patreon later.
Frasier. I haven't even thought about that show in forever. I can't wait to see what you're going to say about that.
I'm a
Um,
huge Frasier fan. Oh my god, I like that is my show, but I never get to talk about it.
yeah, it's been forever since I watched any of those episodes, so maybe that'll give me an incentive. Do you know, is it streaming anywhere like right now?
Oh yeah, it's on Hulu and it's on Paramount.
Okay. Um, all right, so let's end on our favorite thing to talk about, which is Sex in the
Mhm.
City. So, you and I agree on most things. There's a couple things that we have different opinions on, but in general, like, you know, Sex in the City was what we learned a lot, like personally, because again, I wasn't dating. I remember when watching that
Mhm.
show,
That's
being like,
true.
"Oh, look, like, okay, so they're just like hooking up with dudes, but they're not. They don't. I don't know. I just had never seen that because again, I was like, this is when I was living in my truck. I didn't even have a TV. So like
Mhm.
whenever during the winter time, if I was house sitting or something, I'd go to like the local place to rent DVDs, and I'd watch them all in one sitting, because I had access to a screen.
This is
And I was
this
like,
is
what is
me when I
this?
was in college. This is so me when I was in college. No, 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 not
Yeah.
college. Like right after college, I didn't have any money, and so I would just use my student ID and check out DVDs from the college library, and I would just get Sex in the City and like Daria. I just watched them over and
Hmm.
over because I didn't have any cable, but I was prioritizing living alone, so I just had a little studio with no comforts, but I made it work.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Sex in the City, like when we talked last time, because we did a live on my Patreon like 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I guess. And I
God,
remember,
really?
yeah, it was almost 2 years
I
ago.
guess you're right because I was still in my grad school apartment. Time flies.
Yeah, and you had told me because I'd never thought about this way, but or maybe I had never seen a video where you talked about it, where Sex in the City was really like very educational for
Hmm.
because you've been like and a lot of women, I mean, mine was different reasons, but I didn't have any experience, and a lot of you, I think you talked about how a lot of women, black women especially, maybe sheltered and don't get the experience, like maybe have overprotective parents, I think is what you're
Hmm.
talking about, and so then are just
Yeah.
like go out into the dating world with like no like
Yeah. No
education or
experience, no covering,
experience.
no anything. Yeah.
Hmm.
And honestly, this is reflected in what we see with all of these black women experiencing femicide lately. It
Mm.
comes from that. You're never taught any kind of knowledge about dating. You're always just told it's going to work itself out when you get older. And then when you get older, you're just fodder for predators.
Mm-hmm. So like when you were watching Sex in the City, had you dated at all by then, or was it
No.
really your okay?
So when I started watching Sex in the City, I was 17, and I was not allowed to date when I was in high school. Even though my parents are high school sweethearts, but so many haters. It's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fine.
And your dad saw the glow when he first saw her, and
he saw
you're
the
like,
light, baby.
what if someone saw that glow in you, and they're like, no, you can't date, like.
Don't think I didn't have this argument. We had this argument all the time. The one thing I can say in my parents' favor is at least they were not sexist, because my twin brother was not allowed to date either.
Yeah, that's right. I keep forgetting you had a twin brother, because that is such a great lens to look at so many things from. But anyway, so Sex in the City, like one of the things I do remember you talking about was how I've never been able to watch Sex in the City the same because you said this, and I've also never been able to watch any show the same. Like even when I've watched Euphoria, I hate that show, and I'm like the voiceover. I'm like Carrie's voiceover is like so bonkers and delusional, and it changes the whole narrative, and you're like, if they said like it gaslights you. It's like, and I think you were talking about the one where I think it was like maybe it's Big didn't want to go to the wedding, and he was just being a big old baby about it, and then blah blah blah, and then at the end she was like, sometimes you just gotta blah blah, and it was like the whole point of the entire episode was changed by that stupid voiceover at the end.
Yeah, no, she said some people know that they're meant to be together, and people got married, and like love and dove and everything. And some people, she was like, it's different. It's like esoteric. I knew I was meant to go home and have cake in bed with Big. Maybe we're like the fuzzy glove type. Girl, what? The man hates you. Fuzzy glove. He hates you. He doesn't want to be seen in public with you. The minute you got up to make your little poem, he ran out of the room so people would not know he was out at the wedding with you. He was like, sign this card and be associated with you. Not today, harlot. No.
Not today, harlot. or like that whole like Hubble thing.
But you know what? That was one of the few times I felt her friends were really at fault. Now, maybe they were just trying to help their girl out because she was going through a trauma and her man was getting married to somebody else. But when I have had friends who were deeply delusional about what was going on in a relationship with a man, I would always grab them by the shoulders and say, don't make me hurt you. Like, please.
See, everyone needs a friend like that.
Like, the only real friend she had was Susan Sharon, because when Big died and she was all crying at the funeral, she was like, did we forget how this guy was an asshole to you? Like, why are we pretending like he was the perfect guy? Susan is a good friend. But the rest of these girls, Big upping you in your delusion. Yeah, you're right, girl. He didn't pick you because your hair was curly.
Yeah, and also like the movies were awful, and just like that was awful. I just remember being like, this, like, now that you got your man, y'all like he watches like old movies in bed, doesn't want to go out, like, God. And then and even in those episodes, she was like, but some people are I don't remember what she said, but every single episode, the voiceover was like justifying. It's like, in storytelling, it's like they say, like, show, don't tell. And so they show us. And then the voiceover tells you the opposite. And then you're like, what? Like the telling, the narration, like completely negates.
The relationship is not enviable. Otherwise,
yeah.
The thing is, Carrie getting with Big was fan service, because I don't know if you know this, they filmed 3 different endings.
Oh, I didn't know they had 3 different endings. I had heard that they didn't really want them together, and that they changed their mind because I didn't know they actually filmed.
Yeah, so they filmed 3 different ones and they tested them. And so the 3 are that she leaves with Big, the one that we saw, that she leaves with Big and it doesn't work out, which I think is a
Okay.
lot more realistic, and that she stays. She stays there in Paris with Alexander. And a lot of people mistake me. A lot of people don't like that I say that Alexander was the best man that she ever had, even though it's patently obvious. It's fine. And they don't like that I say she should have stayed in Paris. But I'm not saying that because I thought that they were going to live happily ever after or because the relationship was so good. She needed to be there without a crutch. She needed to be
Mm,
there and like grow through the discomfort of being in Paris by herself. Because what was
okay.
she saying before she went there? I always wanted to go to Paris. I always wanted to learn how to speak French. I always, always, always. Like, Carrie, you're 38, baby. Like, when do you think it's going to happen? If not now, when?
Yeah. Okay. See, I'm glad you clarified that point because I was always confused why that you thought she should be because to me, but I hadn't thought about that. Like she should have just stayed there because for me, I think about all of these women that I see in all these, immigrant groups who are stuck in a country they don't want to be in and in
Hmm.
terrible relationships and they end up being domestic violence and they have the immigration status is held over them and then they have kids and now you have the Hague Convention keeping them literally hostages in the country. So I think about all the risks of moving somewhere for a man. And so I was
Hmm.
but and I never really liked him. I thought he was better than the others, but I was like I don't know. To me, he was too old and also didn't appreciate her. But you're right. I do agree that she should have stayed in Paris and pushed because yeah, and fended for herself. Like
Hmm.
done her dream. And Jane Fonda even said this in a reflection after these three terrible marriages is that she wished all these dudes had something she wanted, and if only
Hmm.
she had gotten those things without the dudes, like one taught him political activism, one Ted, what's his, I almost said Ted Bundy, Ted, he was like she didn't realize how much she really wanted to like love the outdoors and wanted to like get in touch with that, and she was just like God, I that I, like I that I got all of that from the men, but the men ended up sucking, and so then I was like, that's the lesson here. Go do it. You don't need to,
Hmm.
go on that trip. Wait for you have a boyfriend to go on that trip. My friend actually wanted so badly to build a tiny home, and she was so afraid that she was kind of almost like writing. She even said she was like, I'm afraid of kind of like making this reality of being the old woman who dies alone in a shoe kind of thing because I want this house I want, but she taught herself how to make a tiny home. She made the whole thing herself. I watched her that whole summer. I'd like keep her company, and I was and then she actually did end up meeting an awesome dude later. But she built the
Hmm.
fucking house. She didn't, build it for a man. She didn't build it with a man. She wanted a house. One of my friends really wanted to be a mom. She decided not to wait to find a good guy because she didn't think she would. And she was like, I want to be, and she got sperm donor, and she's the happiest mom I know. Maybe she'll meet
Hmm.
someone, maybe she won't. But Carrie should have gone to Paris because she wanted to go to Paris. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had missed that part of it. So we do agree on that because I was like, the only thing I think we don't agree on is the French part of it. But we do agree. We totally do.
Wait,
God,
the
she
what
was
part
such
again?
the French part, like her France story, her Paris story, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, okay. Only God can judge me. I do have a soft spot for Mikhail Baryshnikov. I really do. He was old. He was old. He was old.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. He was
Yeah.
so great. And also, I think Carrie needed to grow away from her friends. Her
Yeah.
friends were stagnating.
Yeah.
Like, Miranda was going backwards with Steve into Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Charlotte had regressed completely with Harry.
Mhm.
Samantha was stuck in La La Land. I really have been wanting to talk more about this, but Samantha is what happens when you decenter marriage, but you don't decenter men.
Yes.
People think, oh my gosh, she was so original. She was so girl boss because she didn't want to get married. Samantha is the biggest pick me on that show, and I never liked her.
There's a part of me that really liked her because as a I had my like slut era and it was I loved it, and so I just for me she gave me like an alternative way of, but I never liked the way they wrote her. It was cartoonishly like
Hmm.
I didn't like you know what I mean? I like certain parts of that. It's just kind of like a kind of push back against everything I've been, especially, coming from purity culture and all this stuff. I love that. But at the end of the day, I was like, what? Why are you're on your everything is like, why are you doing all this with these dudes suck? Like that she's drinking that spooge that tastes like, do you know,
Girl, no. Why is it? No.
she's like, I'm like, what is this for? Don't drink it. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many storylines that are so humiliating. So it's like parts of her, I was like, yeah, okay. And then other parts, I'm like, oh my God, these writers fucking hate her. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, the writers definitely hate her. But I mean, who is the fool? As my mother always says, who is the fool? Because you could not pay me. There is no power, temporal or divine, that would make me show my naked body and get humiliated on television for the whole world to see in perpetuity. It couldn't be me. Because it's not like, oh my God, this
yeah,
was like a small cable access show that got picked up. You were already on the #1 show in the world when you decided to do these things. And presumably your parents are alive. Not today. Not I,
yeah,
but y'all go right ahead.
yeah, yeah. Like the every episode was something. Yeah, like the it was very excessive. And then of course her character just got worse and worse
It
ever.
did get worse and worse. It got worse and worse. And that's the whole thing about centering men. When you do it, it doesn't matter if you want a relationship or not. You're going to end up having to please like the entire gender. When I think about
Hmm.
her in this episode, not the movie in Abu Dhabi, I'm like,
Oh
girl, this is
God.
embarrassing. This
Oh
is
my God.
embarrassing.
I can't believe she agreed to do that movie. It was,
Turn to your neighbor and say, who is the fool? Because
yeah.
they have not minted enough money to make me do that.
The way that, I mean, even like the way they have her in a burqa, like doing, I was like, oh my God, y'all,
It was it was so
so bad,
toxic.
so bad. But even like, yeah, it's so funny. And one of my favorite things to do is to go back and rewatch movies that I thought were empowering and awesome, or just like had a good story or like love story, and then being like, "What the fuck? I hate this now." And then I'm like, "Oh, good job, Melanie. You've grown a lot." And that the not only Carrie's ending in the season finale, but when I went and watched it, especially after following you and then you and I were talking about it a lot, and the finale for Miranda, it's like, okay, you're taking care of his mom, you have a child, he doesn't do shit. You're also the breadwinner and he cheated on you, but oh, there's milk on her nose. Ah, I guess it's meant to be. You know?
No, like I promise you, Sex and the City has been so useful in helping women stay single. Thank you, Sex and the City. Shout out to you because
Mm,
I really I identified with Miranda and I identified with Dorothy on Golden Girls because my mom's a lawyer and I used to be a
mhm.
teacher. And so I used to be so terrified. I was like, "Oh my god, if but I'm not actually that tall, so I don't know why I was over identifying with Dorothy. But anyway, I just felt so sure that because they depict smart women on TV who aren't willing to dumb themselves down in a certain way.
Mhm.
You're always getting punished. It's like you spend the whole show being smart, and then in the end, if you're not settling for a loser, you're always involved in some toxic back and forth, like Dorothy and Stan on Golden Girls.
Mm.
She never wanted him, but she had low self esteem. She was doubtful. She didn't think she could do better. And
Yeah.
so she ends up getting knocked up by a loser and suffers for 40 years. Like, oh my
Yeah, and
God.
it's like, why was he still? Because I haven't gone back and watched Golden Girls in a long time. I mean, I still have a framed photo of them in my room. As like, I was like, I
Oh.
assumed I was going to be go like, to me that's a great ending for to live with your girlfriends, and but I forgot about Stan. Why the hell was he in her life? Why was he in that show? Like, she wasn't married to him. Why was he popping up all the time? Why was she even talking to him? I can't even remember. Why was he a character at
Okay.
all?
So someone in the comments just said Dorothy and her mom had the worst relationship. That's the answer to all the questions. And
Mm,
I love Sophia. Sophia, I will always have a soft spot for her because she reminds me of my great grandmother. Like they're the same stature, they wear that same house dress, they love straw purses, like just tiny little ladies that are so sassy and full of wit. But Sophia is the antichrist. Sophia ruins Dorothy's life Sophia is a very, very destructive human, and she lowered Dorothy's self-esteem out of proportion, and Dorothy didn't think she could do better. And it was Sophia, for those who don't remember, who pushed Dorothy to take care of Stan after he had his heart attack.
Oh,
Because
is
he's
that why?
family. Yeah, he's the father of my grandchildren. And it's like, girl, what? I'll put you right back in that home. Don't play with me. Shady times.
Yeah, I do need to go back and watch that show for nostalgic reasons, but also to re-examine some of that stuff. Because yeah, I can't, I literally can't remember. I just remember him being like, not like what a main character, but he showed up quite a bit. But I forgot that he,
Yeah.
that happened and all that stuff. Oh my God. Honestly, watching this stuff really, it does help me forgive younger Melanie for being so naive and just and making, like, literally when I see all the stuff that I watched growing up, and luckily I lived in my truck and out in the wilderness for so long, I missed so many years of indoctrination with a lot of rom-coms,
Mm.
but still growing up, it gets really hard. I don't know if people are always like, can you review one, rom-com that was healthy or a good movie that doesn't have some really fucked up message for women in it? And I have a hard time thinking of any. Do you know of any?
The only one I could think of would be Runaway Bride, but you have to know how to interpret that.
Oh, wait a second. Is that Julia Roberts?
It is. It's Julia Roberts and Richard Gere.
But
And a
it's not.
movie
It's
I
not.
think
It's not the one where she. Okay, it's not the one where she shows up and
no,
tries to.
it's
Okay.
not Pretty Woman. No, it's not Pretty Woman. To me, Runaway Bride is much superior than Pretty Woman, but people only like Pretty Woman because they like the idea of a woman who can't get away. They want somebody
Mm,
who's beholden to Richard Gere.
mm-hmm. I don't know if
I
I've
have a
seen Runaway Bride
huge.
now that I think about it.
Oh, it's so good. I love Runaway Bride. It's my favorite.
Okay, the one I thought about was My Best Friend's Wedding, which is so good.
Oh my, no, that's her. And who is that man? Who is
Oh
that
God, what's
guy?
that guy's name? He was in that the Family Stone too. What's that guy's name?
I don't
Somebody
know.
knows. Put it in the comments.
Somebody will know.
Somebody also said Billie Jean. I did have a watch party of Bill. Have you seen The Legend of Billie Jean? Did you see that?
I don't even know what that is. What
It's
is
from the
that?
80s. It's actually we went and watched it again. Therese, I think, was there too.
Yeah,
It
that's right. Dermot
it's
Mulroney.
oh yeah.
Wasn't he in the movie with Deborah Messing, The Wedding Date?
Oh, see, I didn't see that one. There's so many I haven't seen because I just didn't have a TV for like 15 years or longer. Um, oh, so good. Leslie, what are you talking about? Which one?
I think she's talking about The Wedding Date. No, it's not. The Wedding Date's terrible.
Okay, no,
The wedding.
the Legend of Billie Jean. It actually aged really well. I don't want to give it away, but like romance is not centered at all. It is literally
Okay.
like, and actually it's like women. I don't know how to talk about it without like giving a lot of it away, but I highly wait. So I'm going to go watch. Yeah, it aged well, and it's literally just
Yeah, I'm
like
gonna check that out.
women helping women because she's on the run from the law, and all these women are helping her, and like and just like the romantic part is not at all centered, and I love the ending and all this stuff. So yeah, I highly suggest. But that's the only one I could think of, honestly, when I'm like a healthy message for. There's got to be another one, but I can't think of any. Um,
I've been threatening to do something with Runaway Bride forever, so I'll probably try to get that done this week.
yeah, yeah. All right. So any last minute Sex and the City, because we really didn't go into Sex and the City much, but I'm trying to think of anything about Sex and the City other than I really. It's so funny. I realized that I literally thought that Steve was a good guy the first time I watched it, and maybe, but then it wasn't until 2023 when I started like rewatching it for TikTok, and I was like,
Mhm.
this fucking guy sucks. And then there's still women writing think pieces for like Glamour, being like, there's one, I think Therese sent it to me actually. That was like in defense of Steve or some stuff. And it was like
I
all the
saw
way.
that.
Yeah.
I
I was like,
saw that.
I'm like, why don't you tell on yourself? Like, are you talking about your own marriage? Like, why are you
They
writing
really
this?
do. Like, they really, really do. And I've been telling women this time out of my. Maybe they will finally start to listen to me. Black women, you're at the most at risk for settling, but you're the people who can least afford to settle. Like, if white women settle, maybe they have family money to fall back on. Maybe they're, and even if they're just like middle class women, they have resources. They have a family that can maybe get the guy a job. They have
Mm,
somebody to lean on. Your family is leaning on you.
mm,
When this loser man leaves you flat, your family's going to collapse on you and crush you. Please stop with this nonsense.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, the consequences for the homosexual are not the same. They suck all around and baby trap you, and also I think what's interesting is that people think that a homosexual means that they like just don't work or don't have a job or whatever. It's like no, sometimes they literally have good jobs, but they quit the job
Mhm.
or they're just cheap and like
Mhm.
they can have money and still have that they can still like financially abuse you and make you spend all your money in all these other like ways. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I
they're
mean,
like, yeah, but
again,
Steve
going
owned a bar, and it's like, yeah, because of her, and he still doesn't make as much money as her, and also she's doing all the
exactly.
labor. Like the fact
And
she's
then
taking care
nobody
of his mom, like that pissed me off because that's a huge
that
job. You
that made
know?
me so angry. But like nobody talks about how it trickles down. I keep meaning to stitch and just like that because Steve was glad when Brady didn't want to go to college and he was angry when Brady wanted to go back. He doesn't want his son to surpass him. How are you married to somebody who has three, one, two, 3 degrees? You have 0 degrees and you want your son to also have 0 degrees. You're angry. You don't want a child to outgrow you.
Oh my god, never thought about that. That's true because he was like totally cool with him not going to school.
Not cool. He was encouraging him. Oh, he doesn't need college. See, he's gonna work at the family. You're happy your son is frying clams on fucking Coney Island
Oh
to
my
help you
god.
out. You're happy
Ah.
Miranda kept your bar afloat during the pandemic. It couldn't be me, child.
Yeah, I guess it's like I think I assumed that was about him projecting his own insecurities around like, well, like that's my son kind of thing. But it didn't occur to me that it was literally that it was even more malicious than that. Like, I don't want my son to
Hmm.
succeed because he'll surpass me. Like, that's a whole another level of like insecure man projecting stuff. Like, that is like sabotaging and wanting
Hmm.
them to do bad because if you're that's why insecure men are the most dangerous people to date. And every human has some insecurities, but like insecure men who also are, really dedicated to their own supremacy over women, like those men are like deadly, you know. And Steve is a perfect example of like just insecure. When I watched him, rewatched him, I don't know if you remember the episode because I don't know how long it was. Like because there's so many episodes, but there's one episode that shows what a fucking baby that man is. He's eating cereal and she comes home and he's like, "Look, Scooby Doo,"
Yes.
and then he wants
Yeah.
to go win that stupid basketball competition, and so he's
Hmm.
like throws a fit and like I think he throws the basketball at the wall. Like he has a straight up temper tantrum, and then she's finally like, "Okay, I'll go watch you shoot your hoops because I guess I'm just a wet blanket who just doesn't care about," even though she's busy paying the bills. And then she goes
Hmm.
and watches him shoot this stupid basketball thing, and like that whole episode is ridiculous, like, and shitting in his underwear, like,
Yes.
god, he
But
sucked.
you know what I remember about that series of episodes? So when he saw Scooby Doo and everything like that, that was when she was giving Charlotte taxi cab theory. And this is why I made the whole video about that. Taxi
Yeah.
cab theory is not real.
Mm,
And it's always people who haven't dealt with their own stuff. Miranda's in a miserable relationship with a loser man. And rather than saying Charlotte made good choices, she put herself in the right atmosphere and it paid off. Like, she's met somebody who actually wants to be with her and is treating her well and is like a normal adult. She's, oh, well, see, it's just, you got lucky because he came by and his light was on. Listen, you hater
mm.
ass bitch.
Yeah, yeah, you really don't like Miranda. You've made me look at Miranda a lot differently because I wasn't hard enough on her until I saw some of her
And it's
videos.
it's only because I used to really like her. It's because I used to
Yeah,
identify with her. But
me too.
It's because I feel like us smart girls, us girls who are like not with the bullshit or whatever, we have to be so careful to really be real with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda had a sharp eye for everybody around except for herself.
Yeah, because she really did.
She was
She
so satirical. She was so
gen
critical.
not maybe not always, but in general, she called Carrie on her shit more than anybody else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then she'd turn around and do the same shit herself, and then Carrie was always giving her the
Or
worst
worse.
advice, or worse, yeah.
Because the Carries of the world, they want to see you diminished. They want to see you beneath them. Carrie had an attitude, because you'll notice Miranda was one of the few people she couldn't undercut. When they're sitting around talking about Carrie's financial situation and why she can't buy her apartment, Charlotte, she undercuts. Oh, well, you don't count because you got yours in your settlement. But what could she say to Miranda? Miranda bought her apartment, no daddy, no man, nobody gave her any money for that.
Yeah,
What can you say? All you can do
yeah.
is sit down and look embarrassed. So she was constantly trying to diminish Miranda because Miranda got to call her on her BS, and you couldn't say, "Well, you did this." I did what?
Mm-hmm.
I thrived. So you want me to be down low so you feel better about your choices, and because then nobody can call you out.
Yeah.
You see that Miranda was telling her not to sleep with Big when she was going into California, but she couldn't really say anything, so all she could say was use a condom. Use a
Mm-hmm.
condom so you don't end up like me, pregnant and unwed. But like
Mm-hmm.
she lost the right to really call Carrie out.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never thought about that way. But yeah, that was probably why she was not harder on her, because she used to be really hard on her in a good way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and was just even when she said, I'm not. Yeah, and you remember how like that one episode where they're shopping or whatever, and Miranda was like, "Look, if you get back with him after all that, I held your hand through all that stuff. You get back with him, don't call me." And then Carrie throws in her face,
Mhm.
basically that argument is kind of what started Miranda's road back to Steve, because
Oh yeah,
Carrie was like,
absolutely, absolutely.
you just throw people away the way you threw away Steve. And it's like, no, she left Steve because he was terrible for her. But Carrie, like, she was the worst
Mhm.
friend.
Yeah, you can't tell people like that your vulnerabilities. But again, I think you have to get yourself together. If you don't get yourself together right now, if you're not honest with yourself right now, your friends and the men in your life are going to come and they're going to get you together, but not in a good way. They're going to
Yeah.
come and exploit these vulnerabilities and these issues you've never dealt with.
Yep. I mean, that's what happened to me. That's what it goes back to. Uh, I didn't realize how much I still had to learn until I was like, oh my God. And the thing is that I couldn't, I, di- I, I really underestimated men and how, like that. My ex was really, he was just not a smart dude, but he had very good instincts because he's a predator. And I mean, he just
Mhm.
probably scanned me, and he listened to some of my stories. He went to one of my shows and heard, boom, never dated. Like, he was just like perfect, and
Mhm.
oh my God. So if you don't find out what your biggest vulnerabilities are, and little things that can be done like this, that will how easily you can be exploited, someone else will. you know
It's
um
so true.
so but yeah, back to like what so just I do need to go because I'm starving. I haven't had eaten in a
You
long time.
poor thing.
But I
You're
know I
so
want to keep
poor.
talking. I really do. I think people like they even have more questions. But I did want to go back to like end on this thing that back to what you're talking about with coaching. Is that I've mentored a lot of people, and also, of course, I always like one of the things. My biggest sources of pride is that my best friend has said this for the longest time, and that's what made me realize that why we're such close friends is that she said, most people, if I call them and they might say like they either want to excuse the behavior or say what an asshole, but you don't do
Mhm.
that. Like, you tell me what I don't want to hear, like whatever. And I just hold a mirror up, and she holds a
Mhm.
mirror up for me. And what I have noticed is that people do a lot of times, it's more empowering if it's not like telling people what it is, but rather what you're doing, like with your coaching and stuff, is you pull it out of them because a lot, but we do know deep down, and if you ask the right questions, like, well, really? And a lot of times, just from being asked the right questions, these motives, like one of the motive, like I didn't realize this till years later, that why is it I was able to be so easily manipulated by a homosexual, is this is really hard to sit with, is that if he doesn't have any money, then he needs me, and then he can't leave. He can't leave
Mhm.
me. I don't want to be left. If anyone's leaving, it's going to be me. And then I'm like, well, how am I any different than the men? If I'm doing that,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
that was very hard to
Again,
sit with.
I think so many women do not acknowledge or don't want to admit how much they're looking for power in a relationship, how
Yep.
much they're looking for that secret sauce, whether it's money, whether it's, the house to live in, whether it's the prestige. And a lot of women, they keep looking for something that they can have over the man or over other women, something
Yep.
that makes them special and unique. And some of them go for beauty and some of them go for, fame and other things, but they're looking for the thing that makes them indispensable rather than sitting with the discomfort that you can't control somebody else's choices.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what one of the most fundamental perspectives on relationships that I had to come to was how much it's about power.
Mhm.
That I'm seeking power, and if I'm doing that, then like I'm doing exactly what men are doing. So it's hypocritical. I mean, whatever. But like that, it's a power, like having the. And I think the women who go online to complain about their husbands and da 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 da. Well, boom, now they have the upper hand, right? Like just for a
Exactly.
moment, maybe. And so that's one
Yeah.
of the things I'm almost scanning for in my relationship, because sometimes I'll see it. I'm like, oh my God, my ego, or and whatever, the ego and this, that, whether it's based on fear, this or that, but the ego is like, wants to use this one thing to get the upper hand. And I don't like, that's why, like, men who want the upper hand are such red flags. So being willing to look at me looking for that occasionally and stopping myself, being like, no, 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 no. Like, you're literally just gonna hold on to this to have the upper hand. Or like with the finances, like, this man was broke. Like, so if he leaves, like, surely he won't leave me if I have money, right? He
Mhm.
needs me. He needs my money. No, he'll just cheat and then make
Yes.
you and take all your money. And
It's such a false power. And that's why I'm
yeah,
constantly telling women poor men can financially abuse you using your own money. A
yep,
lot of women don't want to admit that. And so they see the women like Kiki Palmer or Rihanna picking a man who is, light years beneath them. And it's really that desire for power. It's really,
yep,
oh my goodness, I've been hurt before.
yep,
Rihanna, I've been abused before. They want a man who they feel like can't do them dirty, but these men are still constantly doing them dirty.
yep,
Darius abused Kiki. ASAP is no doubt cheating on Rihanna.
yep,
And these women just, they won't let go because they have never gotten to that point where they can acknowledge no matter what I do, no matter what I have, I can still be vulnerable to being done wrong in this. But it's not about what the other person does, it's about my perception of the thing. They put
yep,
all their worth and worthiness in being chosen.
yep. Yeah, and that power is it's about like the it really comes down to like really not accept, like we can never, like we cannot control if somebody's going to do this and that, and it gives a false sense of control,
Hmm.
and then, oh, you don't have to worry about it because I have all the money, so blah,
Right?
blah, blah. Well, okay, well, just watch, he's not only going to take all your money, he's going to spend it on someone else and all this stuff
Yep. And that's
too.
why I'm telling these women all the time, you can't rely on that stuff. And I feel like a lot of women don't want to do the first step, which is literally sitting and asking, what are you looking for from a relationship?
Hmm.
Because I feel like that's the thing that doesn't get dealt with. When you really get down to the marrow, like when you're saying when like, I'm in coaching and whatnot, and I'm asking these questions, what you uncover is a lot of women have never healed their childhood wounds.
Yep.
They were told that they were unworthy, they were unlovable, something was fundamentally wrong with them, and so they have spent their whole lives trying to disprove this, And they think they do it the same way they did in childhood, by overgiving. Your
Mm-hmm.
parent says you're no good, you're lazy, so you're cleaning the house like, Mary Maid, and you're getting perfect grades, and you're not dating, and you're sitting in the corner, and you're over to sitting in church because you want to be seen, you want to finally be acknowledged. You're good, you're enough, and it
Mm-hmm.
never happens. So you keep performing and performing and performing and performing, hoping one day somebody will acknowledge your performance. You are perfect. You've done all these things. But
Yeah.
all the other people see is an easy target.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that why is also, and again, that's why a lot of women end up dating when they're, again, if you've just gone through grief around something, you just lost your job, a friend breakup, a breakup, romantic breakup, new to a city, moving to a new country. When I first got here, I was like, woo, I could just hook up, and it was fun hooking up. But I hooked up with this dude that I was I usually like I could have fun hookups, but every once in a while there's a guy that my nervous system is like perfect. Now I can be all my. And oh my god, that was I was like, oh, Melanie, you knew not to do this when you're just moved somewhere because you're so vulnerable. You don't have your confidence is rattled. The stable, solid foundation isn't there, right?
hmm
And that's when all of that stuff, those little weaknesses that even if you have been dealing with it, they're going to come back. And again, that's why, like, I had worked so hard on myself for so long. I was so proud of where I was in my life. But my book didn't sell, which everything that I had spent all these years in New York, like my whole creative life and all the things that I had sacrificed to pursue that career, in my mind, which is golden ticket mentality, which is dangerous, hinged on this
hmm
book. And then when it didn't
Yeah.
sell, and somebody who doesn't want kids, didn't really care about marriage or like all the things I'm supposed to want, and this thing that was
hmm
supposed to give me that validation,
Yeah.
and that didn't sell, like it was, then boom. And then a coworker died, which was also really upsetting. And then I talked myself into that relationship. I knew it was a bad idea, and I talked myself in because all of those weaknesses were just, it was like a live wire, just like all, oh God. But the
But
motives
you know
and
what's I was gonna say, what's so interesting? It can happen the other way around too. I think that's what we're seeing with Meg Thee Stallion. People are confused as to why she got played by Clay. You're like, you already had everything on the side of worldly prosperity. You were already the
hmm
hot girl. You're so famous. You're so wealthy. So why was she eager to overperform? Because she was in grief. She had lost her mom
hmm
and, other people in her family. And then everything that had happened with being shot and
hmm
being harmed and not being believed, so many of us have been conditioned to believe that a man is going to rescue us
yeah,
from any negative situation.
yeah, yeah. And it's really embarrassing when to discover that that's still there. Because again, I was just like, I don't say I needed humbling, because obviously, like, in the way I was humbled was like not was the worst way I could have been. But I did need to be on my knees with, like, I was way too cocky about, and I just I and I think this is really common with independent. I wasn't successful financially or artistically or anything, but I was very proud of my life in terms of the stuff I'd done. So I felt like successful in terms of like living a life for my own. But just because I'm a tough climber, I did a whitewater, but at the end of the day, I was more pathetic than the women I made fun of. Like.
I think it's good to be self aware. I think it's good to realize that you didn't have that thing on the string. But I don't think any woman needs to be humble, especially not by a man. Like,
No, no, no. I'm sorry. That I I I needed not humbled, but I needed to understand my my weak spots and really work on
hmm
those. And unfortunately, I was a little too cocky around it, and I also had no experience really with men. Didn't have education around it, and didn't follow anyone like you, or just didn't have
mm,
somebody who is really giving me all of this wisdom and knowledge to look out for. So I just went into it literally like I felt like a teenager when when I was so not didn't have any experience with dating. But me and my sister took a road trip, and when I was like 30 something, 32, 33, whatever. And we were camping, and I'd say like my sister and I are super close, but at one point, like I hadn't spent that much time with another adult, and like we were, camping and in the car all the time. The way that she had to like teach me 101, she was like, Melanie, we're supposed to eat together. All right.
Oh
Like
yes.
if you ever want to have like a partner, if you ever like, no one's gonna be cool with you just going and just eating off your tailgate whenever you want. Like you eat, you share meals together, and
Mhm.
like some of the most common sense relationship stuff. But I'd never been in a relationship, so I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was so
That's so
anyway.
complicated, though.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like I had that sort of reintroduction to humanity when I was back doing my dissertation. I went back home for a while, so I didn't have to worry about like everyday stuff like laundry and food.
yeah,
And it was weird because I'd lived on my own the vast majority of my adult life.
yeah.
So I was just like, this is very ghetto. My mom was like, and you can't order food to the house and not like ask other people do they want food. I was like, it seems like a lot of work. So now I have to walk around to all these people and be like,
Hmm.
do you want to eat? Just because I want a snack? Like, this is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, as somebody, I had been living on my own, just literally doing whatever I wanted for so long. Then I was like, wait a second, y'all, like, you even have to plan like meals. To me, I was like, God, I could never do this, because I wasn't. I mean,
Right?
you
And then
know,
I would be like, I feel like it was a good experience just to be there for a few months. And of course, now I'm back solo again. But I'm like, man, I would have been, I guess, the problem. I guess I would have been the problem if people were like, yeah, and the guy says we should eat together. Leave him because you eat when you I'm just teasing. I'm not that bad, but like I
yeah,
would have
yeah,
been like,
yeah.
yeah, no, this is totally normal.
No, like let me give you one more
Soup
example
pot.
where my sister was like, I was so used to just again like not being in like a team to do everything. I mean, this is like a 10-day
Uh,
road trip. It wasn't even that long, but I was just so afraid of being tied down and tied to somebody because I was so used to just doing my like whatever, not having to share a life with anybody. Then at one point we like, I'm like, my sister's a little bit more of a princess, and I'm like, I like made the tent. It was like in Washington on the beach, put up the tent, made like a fire, and it's a beautiful fire, and I'm carrying all the, I'm like the man or whatever, for lack of a better word, and she's just sitting there watching me do it all, and then we get this talking, and she's like, she's drinking a beer and looking at this guy, and I'm so stressed out because I'm like, so wah, and I just keep trying to talk to her. And finally she looks at me and she was like, I know that you don't know this because you haven't been in a long-term relationship before. But intimacy isn't about like talking all the time. We don't have to talk. It's a beautiful night. We can just look at the stars. Like, we don't have to talk all the time. Aren't you tired talking this much? And I was like, yes. And she was like, see, you don't have to talk all the time. And I just remember thinking, how the fuck do people date if they have to literally talk all the time? And I didn't even know that they just sit in silence together sometimes. Anyway, so I was such an extreme solo person that to go from that to being, and not only in a relationship but a very controlling one where I almost got murdered and I was controlled. Oh my God, it broke me in a way that nothing ever has. So anyway, I don't want any women to go through that. I don't. Women should, again. Thank you for correcting my language on that. I don't think I needed to be humble, but I did need to face. I needed to learn a lot of lessons, and I need to face a lot of stuff in myself I didn't know was there. Unfortunately, this guy came around and gave me those lessons in the most violent way possible. And you and I are trying to help women avoid the brutal, violent ways of getting those lessons, but rather just in like the inner work or whatever, I guess.
yes, I mean that's really the key. We can't do anything. We cannot make you all do the inner work, but we are begging you to please do it now before there is someone in the picture who can zero in on those weaknesses and exploit
Yeah.
them for their benefit.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I think that that's what it was when I finally was like, I want to try dating. I wasn't armed with any of the stuff that you and I are trying to educate women on, and so yeah, man, I feel like I had a target right here, and it was just like like
Mhm.
like a little red light was like bang, so
Yeah.
that's why we do this work is to help women not have to learn the lesson and learn about themselves and that inner growth without it being through the violence of men and the patriarchy. Anyway, oh my god, I need to actually go. It's like 10 o'clock and I'm
Please.
starving, so I do.
Oh my
Okay,
God, no, it's not 10 o'clock.
but I
Please
can't
go,
stop
go,
talking to you.
go.
It's too fun. It's too fun. I can't stop, and everyone's still here. Like everyone's been here
It
the
is
whole
so
time. So,
fun. Yes,
so
we
that just
always have
means
a
we
good
have to do it
time.
again soon.
Of course.
Sooner than later. And if you're following Cecilia and then you do it now. Clearly, thank you so much. This was really fun. I'm glad that we finally figured out the headphones issue.
It's the struggle. If I ever come over, I'm trying to come to the film festival. Is that anywhere near you or no?
Oh, Cannes, the
Hmm.
Cannes Festival. I mean, I can, if you're over here, I will get on a train for 2 hours to go where you are. Okay.
Oh,
No,
that's so
seriously. Like,
sweet.
sometimes people will come to Paris. If you go to Paris, I'll go. It's like, it's easy. It's easy for me to go anywhere. I don't expect people to come to Lyon, but if you fly over the ocean,
I've
so
actually
everybody
always wanted to
here,
come.
we got to meet in real life and hang out and she even hung out with
It's
Anthony
so
because we happened to
wild.
be vacationing in the same place at the same time. And that was so freaking cool. So yeah, we should do that again. I don't know if I'll be in the U.S. anytime, but if you come here, I'll get a train to wherever you are. I'll go wherever you are, Cecilia.
Oh, that's so sweet. But I wouldn't mind coming out to Lyon. Like I want to see as much of France as I can. So I'm trying to see if I can get one of these film companies to to help me get out to Cannes.
Yeah, please. And I'll show you all kinds of play. Yeah, we'll be in touch about that part because that would be awesome, especially it's like one time in the U.S. and then one time over here. Perfect.
That would be so good. That would
Yeah.
be so good.
So,
Oh, my
anyways,
mother.
thank y'all so much for coming, and thanks to the moderators here. And I saw a few like crazy comments, and they were instantly deleted. So, thank you all
Wow,
moderators.
I didn't see any. Good job.
That's because they're so fast. I only saw like it was just like boom. I was like, what is that? Delete. So, thank you all so much. Um, thank you, Cecilia. This has been awesome. And yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Good to see you.
You
Hey,
too.
what's up?
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.